Okay, let's get started.
Just raise your glasses high. This one's
Amy.
Riley.
That was perfect
A
together.
classic.
That was just like back to the basics, right?
Yeah.
That felt really good.
I'm not taking any risks this week.
Yeah, I know. Me neither. And the reason why you said that is because, first off, I want to apologize. First of all, to you for putting you in a situation
We
where
don't know what the issue was.
it was me. It was totally me. My sister had horrible internet. No offense to her. No offense to her. She says
rural internet.
rural internet where it was. I looked outside and it was like sort of like. Do you remember those cans where people used to be able to talk to their neighbors through string?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, she had that set up, and she said, I do Zooms all the time and they work. And I said, that ain't Riverside.
Yeah.
Riverside takes a lot more power, and I should have tested it. But anyway,
Yeah.
I could tell last week that there was times where I was lost in a void. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you were just struggling to find me.
Yeah, we were like in a storm. This is getting into the nitty gritty, but I woke up in a cold sweat like 2 days later after that and realized a thing we could have done for the future.
What could we have done?
What we could have done, maybe. Tell me if this makes sense.
Sure.
FaceTimed for each other to see each other and then just record normal to our computers
Oh, you're right.
and like record ourselves
Oh, like-
personally.
Like have two GarageBand files, right?
Yeah.
Where your microphone is plugged in, mine is plugged in. We see each other, but we're muted.
Yeah.
So, but
We
how
could
would
wear headphones.
Oh, okay. Oh my God, that is amazing. So now that will never happen again. That was actually a good idea.
I thought of it 2 days too late.
I'm glad you woke up though in a cold sweat thinking about that. Yeah, it was just I just really relied on the internet. Once I saw the tin can hooked up to my computer, I should have known things were bad. But I remember we've never had a moment like that where I was talking and I was going so in on a scene and you go, Riley, I think we have to stop. I can't hear you at all. It was like we've never even come close to that. It was
Yeah, it was dark on our 1 year anniversary, which is this week.
Right. So we could have said that was our 1 year anniversary last week, that episode, but that would be one of the worst things in the world if that
this is how far we've come.
Like, look at us. We're doing much worse than when we started. But no, can we say, I don't know if this episode is going to be good. It could be good, but can we just say this is our 1 year anniversary?
Yeah. I think, what was it? March 9th was our...
Yeah.
Okay.
In our last week dog shit episode was right before the 9th.
Okay.
So I think we can declare this as officially the 1 year anniversary of Turtle Time.
Congrats.
Do you feel good about that?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, huh?
Yeah, well, the only thing I think about is that I don't, like we always say, I don't remember the fact that we've had a year's worth of talking, 52 episodes,
Yeah.
3 hour plus episodes or just under 3 hours. That's kind of shocking.
Yeah.
Like, we've said so much stuff.
I hope no one goes back and
I kn-
listens to the old ones.
You should have heard the old era of Turtle Time. If you were a listener back then, we were sort of like, we had like Andrew Dice Clay energy.
Yeah, we're like old Howard Stern from
Yeah.
like the 90s.
It was like nasty, crude, sexual, like, right? Like,
uncensored.
it was like, yeah. What era of Howard Stern did you say?
like the 90s when they would have porn stars on and like the Whack Pack and all those people.
Who's the Whack Pack?
It's his like cast of characters that are I don't know how to describe them.
Are they crude and rude?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Who's Baba Booey? Have we ever talked about this?
Baba Booey is it's his like producer. That's not his actual name, but
Well, I didn't think, but
Jimmy Kimmel got a Baba Booey in on the Oscars.
he said a Baba Booey
Yeah.
joke? Wait, so it's relevant to talk about Howard Stern right now.
It is always.
What did he say about that?
I forget. It was like he kind of it was like a throwaway. Like he was like, and congrats to Baba Booey or something. Like he just like got it in, which is kind of, if you're in the Howard Stern world, that's like a cool thing to do.
What Jimmy did.
Yeah, and he's like a friend of the show. Like they're good friends.
Baba Booey and Jimmy.
Jimmy Kimmel and Howard Stern
that's
are
right.
good friends.
I have two thoughts. First of all, Jimmy Kimmel did one of the best jokes I've ever heard. Not this Oscars, but the one time when he said, "I have a Lifetime Achievement award to announce. Bill Cosby, will you please come to the stage?" And then it shows all the reactions, and they were so stunned. They really thought Bill Cosby was going to come out there. That was a good joke. Did
That's
he
good.
have any jokes that were, besides Baba Booey, that were good this Oscar time?
I'm trying to think. They were generally, I think he's a solid host.
Yeah.
He's very like middle of the road. Like he
Yeah.
knows all the celebrities, which is important.
Yeah.
Because they just respect him and know him and like him. He does a live show every single night, so he
Right.
knows how to do it. It's just
Yeah.
very, he's very comfortable.
Yeah, his humor level is right in the range where it's
Yeah.
like Ricky Gervais, too much. We don't
Yeah.
want that. Joe Coy,
Oh.
horrible, not funny.
Yeah.
On the other end of the spectrum,
Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel's got that acerbic wit. Is that?
Yeah.
Is it called acerbic?
Yeah.
But it's in check.
Yeah.
Acerbity in check.
In check, on fleek.
Acerbity on fleek for Jimmy Kimmel, but he still he pushes enough of a button. He kind of rubs the button but doesn't push it and makes everybody go, "Oh!" Like he is kind of pushing back a little bit.
Yeah, and like the thing with Joe Coy was that he like hadn't seen any of the movies, and so it all felt very like irrelevant and unearned, whereas the Kimmel stuff is informed of like that guy Louis Vertel, who co-hosts Keep It, writes on Kimmel,
Oh.
and he writes at the Oscars, and he's like an Oscar what would you, like expert.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like historian. Like you could say 1947
Wow.
best supporting actor, and he would tell you. Like
Whoa.
he knows, it's like Rain Man level. So I'm like, that's who I want writing jokes, because he knows the entire history of the Oscars. He loves the Oscars and like treats them as that they're important.
Wow.
You know?
Good. Well, someone needs to make the Oscars seem important. So I'm glad that person is doing that.
Were the ratings good? I didn't even look.
They were better. They were better than I guess pandemic years, but still
It's a low bar.
Still a little low.
Okay.
But on an uptick, I
Yeah.
think.
Did you watch the Ryan Gosling performance?
I didn't watch that yet. I'm
Okay.
going to watch it. The only reason I didn't watch the full Oscars is because we were driving back from Eugene, Oregon, which a
Yeah.
lot of little turtle cuties know, and I just did not have the energy. And I'm
Sure.
also, like I've said before, I'm not a huge Oscars fan just in general. So
Yeah.
the fact that I would have to watch that after 14 hours of a drive didn't seem fun to me.
Yeah. There were no major moments. It was pretty, standard. I thought the Ryan Gosling thing, I'm not like a Barbie stan, but it was like a great and fun
Yeah.
performance, and the kind of thing I like to see at the Oscars, as we've discussed. Hugh Jackman was the greatest host of all time, lots of musical numbers. And that's what I would like to see. Production value, dancers, costumes,
Yeah.
song and dance. That's what we want.
Me too. I think that very much so as well. Did you see that clip where Jimmy Kimmel said a joke about poor things and Emma Stone whispered to her husband, "What a prick"?
No.
Well, they don't know for sure. I haven't done the lip reading for sure, but people are pretty
Wow,
certain.
the
that
body language expert.
She said what?
The body language
Yeah,
experts
yeah.
have weighed in.
Yeah, but they're pretty certain she whispered to her husband, Dave, and said, "What a prick."
I saw I think it was the Golden Globes, maybe everyone was saying that Emily Blunt said to John Krasinski, "I want a divorce." And then other people were like, she was saying like, "It's so cold."
Wow, I want a divorce. Oh, I want to be lip reading experts where we get it really wrong. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I guess there already is that bad
Bad.
lip reading thing, but that's
It's like extremely famous.
right. But that's different than just making a huge assertion at what someone said. Remember when Timmy Chalamet and who's his
Kylie
were whispering to each other and going, "I love you so much.
Yeah.
I love you more than life itself. I wish I could take you outside and marry you right now." I think it's good to have
It's
people
fun.
thinking about what people are saying.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts? This is out of left field, where Kate Middleton is.
Oh, good. I'm glad you asked. I didn't know, what the hell she's doing. I don't follow the royals too much, except our king, our King Charles.
King Cake.
No, oh, sorry. I love King Charles. The new
Yeah.
king. Oh, sorry. What'd you say?
He's the one with the cake that we want to eat.
Oh, right. Oh, right. Patricia has his wedding cake when he married his current wife, Camilla, which we do want a bite of that. And I obviously stan King Charles, and I wish we
No,
were
we're
back.
American.
Oh, No, you know what? I've moved past.
We don't stand the royals.
Oh, right. Well, I just like
You're
the
gonna
king-
get. I was gonna say evicted, but what do you call that? Deported.
deported. Well, I'll say I do have a reverence for King Charles. I don't know what it is about that guy, but there's just something kind of fun about him. He sort of has a little bit of a winking spirit to him, where he's like, you know me, I'm not like the other royals. But anyway, I don't know too much about Prince Harry or Kate Middleton, but the fact that now she's been gone so long,
Yeah.
it's sort of like Morgan Wade and Kyle Richards, where the more absence of fact you have, it leaves us all wondering.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're doing such weird little missteps and not explaining, I'm like, okay, now I think the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say it. It's very sick, or that people are touting the theory that he's having an affair with someone. This person, like I think her name is Rosie or something,
right.
and she's saying to him, "This is kind of a up yours, fuck you, Prince
William.
He's William, right? Fuck you, Prince William. See if you can get along without me for 3 months when I'm not in the spotlight,
Yeah.
and you will." Like your legacy will be tarnished. Where do you land?
Yeah. Well, John Oliver was on Watch What Happens last night, and he just kept saying, "She's dead."
I know. I thought that was very provocative
Risque.
and brave of him. I was like, dead. I was like, this is a human being. I actually was sort of like Andrew Dice Clay energy. It was kind of like rude.
Yeah. Well, you know how he is about. He's like authority down with authority.
And he's anti-monarchist, even though it used to be British, right?
Yeah.
Or came from Britain.
I mean, I would say he was still British.
He's still British, but he's now an American citizen, I think.
Yeah. His wife is like a gorgeous former Marine.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't
You
know
should look her up. She's beautiful. It's like, wow.
I should. Yeah. Did you like John Oliver on Watch What
I
Happens
thought it was
Live?
fun. He's a fun guest.
Yeah, he was good. Him and Ariana were actually very powerful together because
Yeah.
they're both got a good sense of humor. John Oliver was killing it. I mean, he's being very funny, quick-witted,
Yes.
good in a live environment, like you were
Andy
saying. about-
loves him.
Yeah.
Couldn't
And
get enough.
And Andy said it was the first time he'd ever been attracted to him in that
Brooks Marks.
what is it? Yeah, it's
Tracksuit.
Brooks.
I kind of want one.
It looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like what he said when he was like, I was expecting that when I put this on, it would just combust
Yeah.
or whatever, which was like
Yeah.
major shade to say to Brooks Marks.
Yeah.
And then he said that Brooks Marks spelled design wrong on his letter to him.
Yeah.
That's kind of I wonder if Brooks Marks was kind of sad when he's like, I wish I would have spelled design right.
Yeah, that's a big flub.
Yeah, but you didn't tell me before we got into John Oliver. You didn't tell me what your theory of Kate Middleton is.
Well, I've seen some things online. I wasn't particularly interested until they
neither.
kept doing these photoshops, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah. Did you think that Photoshop looked bad?
I mean, I wouldn't have noticed it upon first glance, but then yeah, when you zoom in, I saw a pretty good TikTok about what it looks like they did, where people think that the day that they took that photo was from fall,
Okay.
where Kate and the kids did like a like a charitable day, because everyone's outfits look the same but a different color.
Oh.
So this person was hypothesizing that they just changed the colors of the styles were all the same, but the colors were different. Like Kate's sweater, when she was public in November, it was white, but in the photo it's like navy or black.
So like they edited the color?
Yeah. And then like the little boy, he was wearing like a plaid shirt, and then they like colored it in so that it was like dark with like a plaid print, and then it looks like they put a skirt on the daughter, which looks a little fucked up.
Wow. Yeah, I saw the. At first, I thought they were grasping at straws, but then AP and Getty or whoever, all these image people were like, "This is too doctored. We can't even post this on our sites." I was like, "Okay, well maybe there's something to it." That photo was just presented to say I'm alive and
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
I'm normal, and everything's
At
fine.
that point, like, just use an old photo.
Yeah. Say it's. Well, I guess they thought, okay, well, why is it a contemporary photo? So they wanted to make it contemporary, but that obviously made things worse.
Yeah.
It's like a cover up. But is the like main thought is that she is incapacitated and possibly seriously ill, and the
Yeah.
royals posted a photo saying, "Look how normal she is. She's still alive and she's having a fun Mother's Day." And then when people did detective work on it, it's like, this isn't real at all, and it makes things worse.
Yeah, it's like creepy. Yeah. Because they did say she was going to be hospitalized, but now it's like going on way longer. And then I even forgot that King Charles literally has cancer.
Yeah.
So then it's like the whole thing of like deflection. Like
Yeah.
they haven't given much detail about that. So then you start thinking like, what thing are they trying to like avert our eyes from?
The Royals. You just can't get a grasp on these people.
Slippery suckers.
Yeah, they're like little stinkers. Like, tell us what's going on. Well, first I was like, why couldn't, if nothing was wrong, couldn't Kate Middleton just go on Instagram Live
Yeah.
or an Instagram story and say, I'm alive. What the hell?
I'm alive.
What's that?
Celine Dion.
Oh, yeah. Why can't she just do something like that? But then Megan, who's much more, she's a royalologist. She was like, they don't do that.
Yeah.
They don't go on Instagram Live. They don't do Instagram.
Yeah.
But why?
Yeah, it could be a useful tool. But she was like, they released some message somewhere where she was like, sorry, I was dawdling around on Photoshop and I'm no expert. That's why it looks like shit. And I'm like, you think we believe that you personally edit your official photos?
But if you're allowed to do that, if you're allowed to say like what you said
Right.
in a tweet, why can't you just do a video
Yeah.
and say,
Because she's not alive.
that's why every little thing they're doing makes everyone more suspicious, and you almost can't fault people for thinking the worst.
Yeah.
If you just can't say, hello, I'm sorry that you all think I'm dead, but I'm actually doing well right now. Please respect my privacy. I love Prince William and my little children. We're all going to speculate.
They should do it, but like a clear deep fake.
I already saw a funny. I should have sent it to you. It's Prince William, and they did AI, and they had him speak in a British accent, and it says, "I'm sorry, but I can't find me bird. She went out to get a couple cigarettes, and I don't know. It was really funny, and it was AI generated, but it's actually getting so close to
Yeah.
looking like Prince William said that.
Yeah, that's scary. Did you did you happen to listen to Rachel Goes Rogue this week?
I did a little bit.
She does a little LVP British accent again.
Her LVP makes me realize that I will never do it again, because when it doesn't sound right, it really
She
takes you
does
off.
like a full Miss Doubtfire.
Yeah. Did you find anything? Now, we're really skipping around, but did you find anything of merit in that Rachel Goes Rogue?
Not really. It was like 15 minutes long. It's like, what's with this Bethany world of podcasting where you just get to pop in for
Yeah.
10 minutes and say what you need to say and pop out?
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason. There's no structure. You can't, listeners, like our little turtle cuties, you want to count on something. That's why last week when we failed so hard, it hit everyone so hard.
Yeah.
It's like a structure. People like to know what they're getting when they listen to a podcast. So
Yeah.
Rachel,
Also, sorry.
I was just going to say, Rachel, just if you're going to podcast, make it 25 minutes long. Just adhere to a structure. Either have that guest that's on it with you, the host or whatever, the co-host, or don't. Just create a format. That's the secret to longevity.
The secret sauce.
Yeah.
I realized, I don't know what her schedule is or if there even is one, but it was posted before the episode.
Yeah.
This
wasn't.
does that mean she gets screeners?
No. She wasn't reacting. In this episode, she wasn't reacting to what Lisa said yet. That will come by the time this comes out. That'll come on Thursday. So people can listen to Turtle Time and listen to Rachel Goes Rogue. That her episode was reacting to Lisa saying they had a conversation, which was in the preview of this will be last week's episode.
I was gonna say, if she can get screeners and we can't.
No, I know that is awful. I'm really talking to NBC Universal about getting screeners for Summer House. I told them, I said, what the hell are you doing? Amy and I are a force for good in the Summer House universe. We talk about Summer House all the time. We are.
We're responsible for your 300,000.
Yes, Turtle Time is, and people always say I started watching Summer House because of you and Amy. I love you so much, Amy and Riley. Thank you for changing my life.
Just send them 4 comments and be like, look.
Yeah, I don't know how the hell we can't get screeners. They're reserved for Variety and Daily Beast or whatever, but.
Yeah, maybe we can become friends with one of those writers and have them invite us over.
I think I started replying to the guy who writes for Daily Beast recaps. I started writing to him just to be like, hey, I found your opinion. I had a different opinion than you.
Yeah,
which he really loves. And then so maybe I can get in good graces there and start to, I don't know.
We can order a pizza and watch it together.
That would be so fun.
Yeah. Also, the last thing I'll say about the Rachel podcast is that she still doesn't do her own introduction.
No, what does it
It's
say
that
again?
woman that's like, and this is Rachel Goes Rogue.
Yeah. I mean, we both listened to Rachel Goes Rogue chapter, this this episode we're talking about, and I can't, I think she's already gone past the answers that she has to provide,
Yeah.
but she keeps having to justify her podcast because she keeps saying, as long as they're telling my story for me on the show, I'm going to tell the real story or my truth or whatever. But we've said this 100 times, but like, they're not going to talk about her much more. No
Right.
offense. It's
Yeah.
not, it's just because they're not going to talk about someone who's not there.
Right.
They're already, I feel like this episode that we're about to talk about, this week's episode, is the end of the Rachel chapter.
Right.
Lisa's telling him, move on.
Yeah.
Schwartz says, you need to
Yeah.
date.
If none of them are in contact with her anymore,
Right.
then there's no new news, except for maybe, I don't know, what she's doing out in the world, them reacting to. But yeah, it's like, it's very strange. Did we talk about what Spencer Pratt said on Nick Vile?
No, but I saw that. I actually got that clip.
I kind of love him.
Spencer Pratt?
Yeah,
I
I
don't-
find him quite entertaining.
Okay, I don't have an affinity for him, but that's just because I don't know him. My impulse is to dislike him, but why? Why would that be? But yeah, I saw that he said he wanted to reach out because he had a good strategy for her to take.
Yeah, he was like, she should have listened to me. He basically said what we always said, which is that she should have been on the show again and been on like the glossy, glamorous, and highly watched version, which is
Yes.
Vanderpump Rules, and made big money off of joining again. And instead, she's on this like low rent
Yeah.
podcast that
No offense.
probably, I mean, if I can say it, if anyone can say it, I can. I don't know how much money she's making off of that. It's more than we make, certainly, but
for sure.
not as much as she would have made joining Vanderpump Rules.
No. Yeah. I still think she is trying to deflate one of the main reasons why she didn't go back, which is that they didn't pay her as much as Tom and Ariana, which
Right.
we told her was a fool's errand. You'll never get what
Yeah.
they make ever. It
Yeah.
would throw all of the payment structure out of whack on that show.
Yeah.
And then and then she's saying now, no, actually, it's much, much more about mental health. And, if that's the main reason, then I understand. But I just don't understand the impulse to want to be on the sidelines telling your story, like, about a thing that you said causes you distress.
Right.
When there was a way for you to, I think, retain your mental health in that environment and even make it sort of a through line throughout the season of how you're reckoning with this thing, like
Yeah.
show therapy sessions. I would have been.
This season would have been better.
You're officially saying that?
I can't keep going on like this.
I don't want to spoil it, but I found a lot of joy and merit to this episode. You didn't like it?
I just I need a new
I need
thing.
Graham.
I just I feel like we're just
Yes.
talking about the same shit.
Can I tell you what would have made my hat start spinning around in my head?
What?
If when Tom Sandoval, I was going to say this later, but I'm just going to say it now. If Tom Sandoval got to the gates of Pump or the gates of Tom Tom and he saw that pump sign and he would have just started ripping that shit down and said, "What the hell, Lisa, are you doing to Tom Tom right now? Why did you not ask us what you're doing? Why are you bringing in chefs? Why did you put the pump gate on here? Like, why are you replacing our staff without asking?" If he would have had a full-blown meltdown,
Yeah.
I feel like that would have been an arc of this season of Lisa's desecration of Tom Tom. But the fact that he has to cater to Lisa now,
Yeah.
and she's one of his only allies, he has to bite his tongue.
Bring ice cream.
He has to bring her ice cream as a tribute to her.
She said, "Fuck your 2.5%."
I know. I know. Well, we'll get to it. I don't want to
Sure.
overstep or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just think that there's some. That was the first time now where I'm like, oh, an active storyline that I would have actually liked to see. Tom think that Tom and Schwartz, Sandoval and Schwartz, to think that Tom Tom is being desecrated by Lisa by her pigeonholing Pump into it to pretend like Pump never died and like
Yeah.
making it this hybrid. Like what
Weird
restaurant do you ever
business decision.
what restaurant do you ever go to that has the name of the old that was right next door?
Yeah.
Then it's like very confusing, and the fact that they have that
It's not
pump,
like it was a cool, the letters that she put up are from Michael's.
Yeah.
It's not like some cool sign where you'd be like, I see why you'd want to keep that.
yeah, and it's not a big deal. It's not a very big deal. I just know though in previous seasons, Tom Sandoval would have flown off the handle
Yeah.
about that, and it would have been 4 episodes. But he he has to restrain himself.
Yeah.
In this new environment.
Yeah. Did you see, I'm just going all around on the podcast universe, but
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Kristen talked about a donation that he had made. So like, last week we talked about how Sheena revealed that Tom Sandoval gave her thousands of dollars during COVID when she was struggling.
We think 10,000.
Yeah. Kristen revealed, I think on her podcast, that one time, I forget exactly what season it is, probably season
8.
Okay, 8. It was that like Witches of WeHo wine party where no one was friends with her anymore, but she had to be there anyways, if I remember.
They still hated Kristen because Kristen wanted a friendship with Bo, and
Oh,
Stassi
right.
felt very worried about Kristen's like unique dynamic with Bo, even though Kristen was the one that introduced Bo to Stassi.
Yeah.
And Kristen felt like their friendship was suffering through
Right.
Stassi or whatever. And Stassi was like, I don't want you to have a weird relationship with my boyfriend. And then and also they had business stuff going on that
Yeah.
affected their relationship.
Right. Stassi always wanted out of that Witches of WeHo deal.
She hated being in a business with 2 other people where she just couldn't make all the decisions on her own.
Yeah. And so apparently, I don't know if I remember this or even realize, but Kristen had been demoted
I had no idea.
to a friend of.
That was revelatory to
Yeah.
me. I had no idea. So I really can't wait till, in 2026 when we get to that on our Vanderpump Rules recap. But I had no idea. Like, I remember Kristen's presence being just as strong.
Totally. Yeah. So apparently she had been demoted for whatever reason. So at that time, whenever she was on an episode, she was only getting a day rate the way like Peter does,
Yeah.
and not her entire, salary or whatever. And that episode is very much about her.
Yeah.
Like she's bringing the drama, and apparently, Tom Sandoval is sort of like fleeting through that episode. It's not very much about him, but he's in it.
He like drops in and just says hello and then leaves
Yeah.
or something.
And so after it aired, I think, or after it happened, Tom Venmo'd or PayPal or whatever, Kristen $2,000. And she was like, what the fuck is this? Was that an accident? Like, I don't understand. Like, I'll send it back or whatever. And he was like, no. He was like, it's unfair that he's like, you carried that episode on your back, and it's not fair that you didn't get paid your full amount. And so he just paid her,
Wow.
which
Okay,
I
was it
saw a lot of
2000?
conflicting. I think that's what she said.
2000.
2000 something maybe.
So he was like, I got my full episodic for popping for 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm going to make this right.
Wait,
And what were
yeah.
what's the
What's your gut on that?
Well, obviously, it's hard for me to ever say anything that is not that doesn't sound horrible. But if I had heard that before,
Pre-Scandoval.
then it's a very noble, honorable, sweet thing to do for someone that he has a very bad history with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, period.
Yeah. It's like, it's something, it's like a weird, it's weird because it's like, okay, so post Scandoval, of course, a lot of the comments were saying like classic narcissist trying to buy people's affection or whatever, which I'm like, maybe, but also like he never told anyone. Like, I feel like he would use it as a tool publicly more if.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you said you can judge it in hindsight now
Sure.
and say he loves giving gifts so that like they'll have to rally for him in situations like this.
Yeah.
But at the time, it just seems like an honorable gesture, right?
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, it is just like a very generous thing. But on this after show from this episode, everyone was sort of sharing like all of the gifts that he had given everyone. Like he gave on this episode, James, those sunglasses.
Yeah.
Like Lala said like something he got for Ocean, and Sheena for her daughter. And then they showed the clip from the first episode or the second episode where he brings Schwartz those shoes.
Right.
And
I
so
didn't even think about the Schwartz shoes.
I
'cause
know.
when he did that, it seemed so out of character. It was like,
Right.
whoa, you just bought him shoes?
Yeah.
But now that's like a
And he
through line.
brought Lisa ice cream.
Yeah.
Like he's always coming with something in hand. It's almost like, I don't know, a tick or something.
Yeah, well,
like,
we've talked about altruism a lot, and I do think the way Sandoval talks about gifts now, he gets a little bit of a high
Yeah.
from doing that. And we said this: if you're a recipient of a gift, you don't care if the gift giver is getting off on it.
Right.
It's just nice to receive a gift. If I was the homeless person, which talk to me in a year,
after tax season.
once Uncle Sam gets his hands through on my wallet, talk to me then. But if I got $100, I don't care that Tom Sandoval just is grinning ear to ear, scampering off and squealing with delight that he did that.
Although I would be like, stay 10 feet away from me, put it on the ground and walk away and I will come get it. Please don't charge at me and
right.
fling the cash
Don't
into
do
my
what
hands.
you said, which is I'm going to tie my shoe for a second. Hey, buddy, you dropped something by your shoe and you put it in their sock.
That's still one of the weirdest things I've ever seen.
I
He's
think
like a freak is the thing.
He's an extra freak. He's an extra little freak.
Yeah.
And gift giving is a part of being extra.
Yeah.
Um,
Ariana did say during that, when they were talking about it, was it on Watch What Happens? Maybe. She was saying, like, obviously she was present during that entire period of generosity, so she was aware of it, and she said she supported it. So, like,
Yeah.
she was aligned with these
Yeah.
gifts, you know.
I think we have to just say the turtle time rule of thumb. Even if your altruism comes from a nefarious, you get off on it. Like it's still good.
Sure, as long as it's not used for manipulation and control.
But then I guess you would say, like, I'm not saying Sandoval's a serial killer, but if you were like John Wayne Gacy liked to dress up like Santa Claus and give little kids gifts on Christmas, and then he wanted to kill those kids. I'm not comparing him, but I'm just saying I guess there is limits to.
He was already a clown, right?
He was right. He dressed up like a clown, not Santa Claus. I'm just
Maybe
saying.
both.
I guess. What'd you say?
Maybe both.
Yeah, I think he was Santa and a clown. But I'm just saying, I guess you could give me an example where I thought giving gifts wasn't right if
Yeah.
you're trying to make up for unethical, shitty behavior in your life, and you use that sort of like a way to make yourself feel better and justify bad deeds.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the limits of altruism.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I can see. I think it also depends on if you like someone. Like,
Yeah.
if you have goodwill towards someone and you could see it as generous, and if you have bad will towards someone, you can be like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's annoying.
Do you have gift givers in your life?
Yeah. Not like Sandoval style where it just totally necessarily comes out of nowhere, but yeah, some people that's kind of their love language.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I want more of them in my life.
Sure. I saw one comment that was saying that like Tom's love language outwardly is like acts of service
Yes.
and gifts,
Yeah.
which makes sense. That's why he's so obsessed with like the latte and like doing the engagement party and like the money, the cash stuff. Like that's just his way. And so if it's not your way, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, true. Have we ever talked about what your love language is?
I struggle to figure that out.
Oh, okay.
I'd give nothing.
Mine. What do you mean? You give? No, you don't expect anything in forms of to activate your
Well,
love.
it's interesting because it's like the way you give and the way you receive could be different, you know?
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Well, yeah. I mean, I think you say what yours is, and
Yeah.
then you have to adapt to what other people's is. I'll just say mine.
Okay.
Words of affirmation.
Okay.
That's why I love the Turtle Time reviews so much. And when I see one that is horrible and 1 star, it makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah. Words of affirmation is not the way I express.
You don't give that.
No.
No, yeah, no.
That's
okay.
why we're a yin and a yang.
Oh, yeah, we love that. But what is yours, just so I know for the future?
What I give or what I receive.
What you want. What activates your love? What makes your heart do a Grinch-like 10 times bigger?
What are the options? There's
Acts of
affirmation,
service,
acts of service, gifts.
giving gifts, intimacy, sexual,
Physical touch, quality time.
quality time.
I think I like quality time.
Yeah, and that was Ariana's, remember?
Mm-hmm.
When she said about Tom, just to bring it fully back, she said her quality time for her was sitting watching Love Island, and Sandoval was like, I gotta be out.
Right.
I gotta party. I want to see the world. He
Yeah.
got charged up by being around random people.
Right. Like he's like, I want to go fucking skydiving.
I want to jump off a bridge on mushrooms with Rachel.
Yeah, he's a nut.
He's wild. He's an extra guy. He said it a lot, but he's extra.
Yeah. No, it's so. I love the love language like genre because it's such a good example of the way people see the world entirely different. Like to me, quality time means going to like Home Depot.
Yeah, totally.
Like just like bullshit. And Jimmy's like, that's so boring. I would never want to do that.
Yeah. Well, not to get too into your relationship. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to pry further. I was just going to say something, but I completely forgot about love languages. But that's okay. We
Yeah,
We
there are
can
books
move
on that.
Yeah. Oh, right. Right. Like they can learn
We
more.
can do a spin-off.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think Tom Sandoval, I'm learning, once I thought about that Love Island thing,
Yeah.
like I don't think Tom Sandoval is a huge movie guy or TV guy even.
Yeah.
He probably watches Vanderpump Rules, but I don't think he derives a lot of pleasure from sitting around watching television movies. I don't think I ever told you this, but we went to Shorts and Sandy's one time, and my very good friend, came, who lives right around the Shorts and Sandy's area, and he asked Tom Sandoval if he liked Avatar Way of Water.
Yeah.
And Tom Sandoval looked at him and said, yeah, it was all right. Why are you asking? And it was almost like, how could you ever ask me if I liked a movie? It was kind of like a case in point of like if we had ever asked like Lisa or anything about a movie.
Yeah.
It was like movies didn't charge him up at all.
Do you think he was lying about having seen it?
No, I think it just made no impression on him. And that movie, you've never seen.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
I mean, say what you will about it, but I think it makes an impression.
It seems like something he would love.
I know. For this mushroom guy,
Yeah.
he should have seen it on mushrooms at the IMAX.
Yeah.
He'd be having a completely different conversation with us.
Yeah, maybe he's too antsy.
I think that's
Yeah.
what I think. That's
Yeah.
what I wanted to diagnoose Tom Sandoval with.
Ants in
today.
his pants.
Visually certified ants in his pants. I don't think we have to talk about do you want to talk about the Valley trailer?
We don't have to go into it. All I'll say is that it looked much more entertaining than I had previously seen.
You know why it did?
Why?
Because it focused on Jax and Brittany and Kristen and had Schwartz in it.
Yes, that's true. But it looked like messier
Yeah.
than I anticipated.
Yeah, what did we learn about Jax and Brittany? Because Brittany said the breadcrumbs of what we're going through now are seeded all throughout the Valley.
Yeah.
We learned that Jax and Brittany do not make love any longer because they say, or she thinks that he's not sexually attracted to her anymore.
Yeah.
She wants to have another child, and he says, absolutely not. I love the one we have. Or not absolutely not, but I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And then the bar, I think, is taking over his life.
Yeah, and Schwartz says, they unveil it, and he goes, "You're going to be living with me pretty soon, miserable and divorced."
Yeah. And Jax goes, don't say that. But then,
Yeah, and then they show a nasty clip of Brittany crying, and he's like, "Stop it." And she's like, "I can't even have an emotion." And he goes, "No, you can't."
right. You know where I got to with the PR stunt thing now? I officially say, no, it's not. Because
Yeah.
first of all, I've heard from Kristen and Schwartz, not like we take them as like their word is bond or whatever, but I trust that they know a little more than us. Like everyone is not saying it's fake, which I guess you'd think that they would say that, but or they would never admit that. But I don't think it's fake anymore because if you asked us 3 years ago after Vanderpump Rules and they got fired or they quit or whatever, if Jax and Brittany had a good marriage, we all would have said no.
Yeah.
So just the fact that the timing is now, right before the premiere, I think it's a little bit of Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is the right one. We all assumed Jax and Brittany would go through major hurdles in their relationship. So
Yeah.
I don't buy the PR stunt anymore.
Yeah. It was funny watching, we haven't brought it up yet, but Jax and Brittany and the entire cast were mixed in on the after show of Vanderpump
Yes.
this week, which at least for the Kristen, Jax, and Brittany of it was very exciting to me because they got to be kind of talking about the show again, which I was like, God damn it, they need to be on this show.
Totally.
But it was funny watching Brittany be like, they were talking about Tom and Ariana's relationship dissolving or whatever, and Brittany is trying not to give too much detail about her relationship crumbling.
Yeah.
But she's like, I could see how you could become roommates and like not like each other at all, but you're too scared to leave and you feel trapped. And then she's like, not like I feel trapped or anything, but I could understand.
Yeah. Right. I love when she said that, but more importantly, I love that you just unveiled your first Britney impression, which was perfect and spot on. I felt like you just invited
Once
Britney.
I started, I
That-
couldn't stop.
I'm glad you didn't. It was perfect. I have a question now, though. Again, I have a question. If Jax and Brittany and Kristen can be going to the same set with all of our favorite Vanderpump Rules cast members and talk and be a part, and actively be a part of the Vanderpump Rules universe, why can they not
Right.
go back on Vanderpump Rules?
Right. I
They're-
know.
Jeremiah or whatever, the main producer of Vanderpump Rules, like under Alex Baskin, responsible for the quality of Vanderpump Rules, is right there.
I know.
Asking them questions.
Do you think it's some weird like contractual thing where they're allowed to be on a different version, but not like,
No.
yeah, it feels like this is as close as they'll,
This is
yeah.
it's like they're on the cast.
Yeah.
I would honestly, if Vanderpump Rules wanted to just fold in the Valley and do trial through fire with all of those new cast members
Yeah.
that have babies, because Schwartz was saying, I know this guy.
Mhm.
I know this guy. I actually have a funny relationship. One guy was like, I knew Sandoval, but I don't talk to him anymore.
Yeah.
Throw them in
Yeah,
there.
they all know everybody.
I am seeing less and less the point of why the Valley and Vanderpump Rules are split, unless
Mhm.
there's just one major thing that Jax did that like ruined his relationship with
Yeah.
Vanderpump Rules. But even with
Yeah.
this, I'm like, how can that be?
Right.
He's on the after show with
I
them.
know it feels extremely close. But yeah, watching his behavior and the way he talks and how worked up he gets, I'm like,
Oh.
he was talking shit about Katie, and I was like, we just watched season 3 where he like hates Katie and talks shit, and it felt exactly the same.
He was like a pull string doll where they said Katie and he goes, she's always on Reddit. She'll bring up anything. She's got the biggest mouth. She loves to gossip. I'm sorry. Can you remind me what she said again? It's like, damn, he was fired up. He didn't even know what he was
Yeah.
fired up about.
And they like bring up he has to deny an affair at one point, and he's like, I was in where was
Right.
and he's finally like Atlantic City, and I'm like, his lying style is exactly the same, where he like can't recall the details.
You're right. Jax is back. You felt it. It was like the heat got turned up. You're like,
I know, I like had forgotten. I know that we've been saying, and the crowd has been saying for a long time, that like they want him back.
Right.
And I was always kind of like, he's such an asshole, whatever. And then when you see it in action, it's like that meme on like TikTok where you like come alive.
Yeah.
You like sit up out of your seat.
No, I fully started to think like, okay, like I came to terms with what they did to us, but I always hated that they left.
Yeah.
I always wanted them back, but then I resigned myself to this new reality. But then once you see Jax pulling up to the table like he did and going, the whole world's talking about you, Sandoval, so why can't I talk shit about you? And it's like, damn, that Jax energy, it's powerful. He's kind of like the Joker a little bit, where he can just turn everything on its head. He likes to create chaos.
Yeah.
He's just a high energy individual.
His teeth couldn't be whiter.
Yeah. And also he can be the most wrong you've ever heard someone be in their lives, but also he could be the most right and say what no one wants to hear.
Yeah.
Like when he said that Tom and Ariana's relationship was a facade.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, Jax is back. I felt really good. I felt just like you did. I came to life. But now I'm just like, stop dilly-dallying with this Valley bullshit. Bring them back, unless this is a test balloon.
Right. Yeah, it's very weird. I don't know, but I will say I'm still not particularly interested in all these other people. It's a lot of people. But they did kind of a good job in the after show of showing how interconnected they all are. Like Sheena goes back with some of them, like their friends, their kids are friends. One of them Jax lived with in New York 20 years ago. Another one like bonded with Sandoval like right before Sandoval.
You
Another
said the
one
trip one too, where like Jax bailed and like one went on a trip.
Yeah.
It's like I did like that connection, and no one gave me like I'm embarrassed. This person seems so bad. They were all like, I'm sort of a wait and see.
Right.
All of them. So
yeah, one of them, one of the women, the wives, knew Rachel from the pageant world and used to coach her or something.
And I think, Jax said that there's some sort of like cheating scandal going on in their own friend group or whatever. So yeah, my interest in the Valley went from like a 3 out of 10 to like a 7 out of 10, which that's pretty good. Good on them.
Yeah. I don't know if they just weren't ready or they didn't have their, promo ready or whatever, but I was like, why did they wait so long to give us any juice? Because we just got that garbage dump Peacock trailer or whatever
that was the worst thing they could have done, to put us on the wrong footing.
Yeah.
Because we had no idea what this show was, and then to give it that corny, edit, it's like it made us resistant to it.
I know. All they need to do is drop the clip of Kristen fighting with that woman and her being like, do you know what you've done to my family, my marriage, my kids? And Kristen's like, your husband's a cheater and everybody knows it, or whatever she says.
Kristen and Jax are two sides of the same coin, and their
Yeah.
energy is so missing from Vanderpump Rules.
The chaos.
The chaos. They brought the chaos. And Kristen, I would say, is more on the chaotic good now. And then you'd say probably Jax is more on the chaotic evil or chaotic neutral.
Yeah, probably evil.
Or I'd say, I'm going to speak in his defense. Neutral, but it's in the corner leading towards
Yeah.
evil.
Kristen was defending him on the after show, saying that like she, despite there being rumors of him cheating on Brittany, she's never
Yeah.
heard or seen anything like that. And she even went as far to say is that he's not a cheater anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's another one who said, I'm going to do my due diligence and really check into this because I don't want to lie to Brittany and say I don't think anything's wrong. And they said they found through Reddit or whatever where this rumor stemmed from, and they considered it false. And there's a lot of fake rumors. Like, I don't actually believe that Jax is cheating. Even though Katie brought it up on this episode, I don't think he is, because you just have to find out what the source of that thing was. It's like when Brock was accused of cheating with Rachel.
Yeah.
I knew that came from a bunch of just fake blogs.
Yeah.
Like, there's just active fake news that goes out for people who want to get clout from it. Like, people who said that Rachel was pregnant right after Sandoval. It's like they create fake news to generate attention, and I think that the Brock and Rachel one was that, and I think the Jax one is that.
Although Ariana brought up she had seen a blind item pre-Sandoval that was called The Tale of Two Toms, and it was like one Tom is a ruse protecting the other Tom or whatever, and she said that she showed it to Sandoval and was like, what the hell, can you even believe this? And he was like, weird.
No, I can't believe that. What's wrong with people? Yeah. Well, good. So, good. Well, so to summarize, we talked about, I think, everything in the universe,
Yeah,
right?
we bopped around.
Kate Middleton, Oscars, Valley Trailer. We talked about everything.
Yeah.
Would you ever, now that we're sort of winding down, would you ever permit our 1 year anniversary certified turtle piss break?
Can we go at the same time?
Yeah, let's
I only have
commemorate.
one toilet though.
Well, how would we do that? I'm trying to think. I don't want to be too graphic.
I don't want to
but
visualize.
Actually,
I take it back.
the safest way we could do it is if I lean forward down into the toilet and then you. Actually, you're right. You know what? I think we should keep them separate for now, but if we ever do figure out a way to take them at the same time, we will.
I need to get dual toilets.
That'd be
One
nice.
time I was in Paris, France, and I went to this burlesque show, and they had a really fun and funky bathroom that had two red toilets side by side, and me and our friend Lindsay peed together.
That is so fun.
We need that. If we ever have a studio, we should have.
Can I? Well, if you want, if you don't want to have a permanent toilet, I could just bring one with me to
a
piss
little,
in.
like a baby
Yeah.
toilet.
I was totally thinking of that, like a little potty.
One of those ones that when the baby pees in it, it makes a little song.
Good job,
It's
Riley.
like dee doo dee dee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So whatever you want, any of these options, I'm in. And I
Or
was gonna say
diapers.
Diapers would be good too. Maybe 2 year anniversary. Let's wear diapers and do our first certified turtle piss in our pants.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say one thing about toilets, but I guess I'll save it for after our turtle piss.
Okay.
All right. And that fact about the toilet is that it was invented in 1775.
Wow. Almost like America.
Yeah, I never thought about that. When did America start again? 1776.
Yeah.
Do
you mean like
think
the flushing toilet?
the toilet? I had to skim the article because it was called toiletfacts.com, but 1775 they said the modern toilet as we know, the first iteration of sort of past like what do they used to use, like outhouses or
Yeah.
whatever, personal indoor toilet, 1775. But you're right, I never thought about the connection between toilets and then the founding of America before.
That's great. I like if you ever go to like medieval castle or places like that, they have these little balconies that sometimes it's like the toilet just hung off the side of the building and the excrement would just fall down to the floor beneath.
I have unfortunately heard that because I read that Bill Bryson book called At Home, and
Oh,
it's
yes.
all about that. It's like London, people were just throwing their slop buckets off the roof and it was landing on people's heads.
You know, it smelled crazy in the streets.
No, it smelled crazy in London when that was happening. How could it not?
Everyone was just like dying, stank.
And they were like, and they'd be covered in shit, and they'd be like, why are we sick all the time?
Yeah. I always think like I go to the dentist biannually. That means twice, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You know, getting my teeth professionally scrubbed, clean them, brush them every day, floss when I can. And still, I feel like we're all at constant threat of having dental issues. And I'm like, how has anyone in history ever kept their teeth?
Yeah. You're right. No, you're right. Right. Like they require a lot. They require like
It's
cavities.
ridiculous.
But we're also eating a lot of more like I think garbage, sugar and stuff. But you're right. I mean,
I think a lot of people just didn't have teeth, or their teeth were like fucked.
yeah, they were kind of messed up. But I was just saying. I was thinking about. I was just gonna say like in addition to that in London for a while, or in the UK. They considered being filthy. There was an era where being filthy was a sign of luxury.
I like that.
So there was this one queen, me too. There's one queen that prided herself on being absolutely filthy. And when she'd shake your hand, you'd get a little of her filth on it. And it would be like sort of, what's that? Like a nice tribute to you.
Is it because she's so doesn't give a fuck?
No, they thought water was bad for you.
Oh.
They thought that you shouldn't go in water. It's really wild.
The exact opposite of the truth.
Everyone should read At Home by Bill Bryson. It is very illuminating. It shows that, like, basically in the last 200 years, like, we went from a medieval society to contemporary times, and they're so removed from each other, you can't imagine the shit that was going down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Everyone was just drinking, like, beer instead of water.
Yeah,
because
totally.
the water was dirty.
Yeah.
I mean, I abide by, you know, I think we need to revisit the idea that being Rubenesque is a sign of wealth.
Oh, of course.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like I eat well,
Yeah.
I'm thriving,
Yeah.
I ate a whole like roast or
Yeah.
whatever.
Orson Welles was like that.
He was the king of
He
that.
said it was an absolute luxury.
Oh my God, I didn't tell you I went to Hearst Castle on Friday.
You did? I want to go so bad. How was
It's
it?
awesome. You have to go.
Oh my God, does it look like sort of how it did in Mank?
Exactly.
Really?
It's
Is
really
there that
cool.
outdoor zoo and stuff?
I didn't see that. Well, we did see the like I didn't see like the monkey cage, but I saw like the zoo is like there's like a shell of an outdoor zoo that they said was designed after the German zoo.
I can't believe you can go now.
It's sick. There's like 5 different tours. We did the Designing the Dream tour, and it was like through a lot of the different bedrooms, and like you get to see the cool pools.
Does he have that room with like those antiquities that he was collecting? Do they still have that?
Well, like every room has like art from like 16th century all over the world. It's like a real hodgepodge. Like it'll be like Persian art, Spanish art, French. Like a lot of the ceilings and the beams are imported from like 16th century like France. And then a lot of it is apparently during, you know, the various wars, a lot of Europe was just like selling all of their shit. So like a lot of like churches and stuff were just like
wow.
broken apart and sold to rich people.
That is so awesome. I'm so glad you got to go.
Yeah, you gotta go.
What was the highlight of your trip while you were in there?
Let's see. I mean, I don't know. It was really, I'm very into that era of like, I think it started being built in, I don't want to be wrong.
It's okay. You can be wrong.
I think it was like the 20s.
Yeah.
And I just like love things that were built in that era. So just getting to like look at everything really up close, and all of the doorknobs and the bathrooms were amazing. And the family sold it to the state of California. Like it's technically like a state park.
That's so awesome.
At this point. And they said that they basically break even every year because it takes like, it's like $10 million a year to upkeep.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for sure.
Yeah,
I'm
you gotta
glad
go.
I'm glad you went. You got the house kind of warm for me.
Exactly.
So-
Yeah, highly recommend.
Okay, good. Well, let's stop talking about that, even though it's something that I could talk about for another hour.
Yeah.
And let's talk about this Vanderpump Rules episode, which, from the sound of it, you thought was a slog and a half. And I actually found some merit in
Okay.
there.
Sign of the Times.
I think
Is that what it's called?
I think it was called Written in the Stars.
Oh, what did
Was
I
your-
get that from?
Was yours called Sign of the Times?
I might have just
I
maybe that's next week.
Oh, it might be because Written on the Stars. I was wondering why the hell it was called that, but it's
Oh,
because
Allie.
Allie wrote their birth chart, you know,
Right.
in the stars. So that's what that was
Right.
playing on.
So what did you like about this?
So what I liked about this episode was that I'm having a hard time now knowing that because it's like I feel like I'm alone on an island.
No, I think I can be convinced. I think looking at my general headlines, I think it gets better on like the second half.
Yeah. I liked seeing Schwartz in his Joe era, despite what we may think about Joe and her introduction to the universe. I liked seeing Schwartz in this new light of being sort of Joe pilled. I've never seen Schwartz like that before.
Yeah.
I liked Katie finally letting out her true hatred of Tom Sandoval in a way that it's not tied to just loyalty to Ariana.
Yeah.
It's actually because she despises him. And I loved her rage. Katie's rage, when it's pointed in the right direction, is a thing of beauty. And I felt for her strongly when she tells everyone, this man actively tried to demean, you know, me and ruin my marriage. And I feel like he got to the point where he was calling me a monster and Tom Schwartz believed him. So like that part of like Tom Sandoval in Katie and Schwartz's marriage, I now that rings so much more true to me. And so there's a lot of little moments in that, like also learning Tom Sandoval's like gift giving habits was kind of shocking to see just one after the other.
Yeah.
And there was more stuff that we can go through, but it was more like there wasn't huge, eventful like shocking moments. I thought it was just more like everyone sort of gave me like everyone had a little bit of a spark that I haven't seen in a while, and I think that was nice. And like even Lala. I was kind of on Lala's side, you know, a little bit throughout this too. But then also I can see Katie's side. So I like when two people have conflict, but no one is clearly in the wrong. There was some like justified conflict there, which I thought was good too.
For sure. Yeah. It had, I mean, yeah, we can get into Joe. She's a kookaloon.
Yeah.
I guess I feel similar to Katie where she's like, I'm going to jump off of the roof of this restaurant if we have to keep talking about Tom Sandoval.
Yeah, but what I get it. And I get why she said it. And I understand. It's like she wants the show to move past him and not have every conversation be about Sandoval.
Yeah.
And then Lisa in this episode is like, well, what about Tom Sandoval? What about that Lake Tahoe trip? She wants every conversation to be about Sandoval. So I get the push and pull of that. But what would this show be if they weren't taking into account that there is one cast member that's like in the doghouse? Like, how do they not talk about that? And would it be a good season if Sandoval had just been fired?
No, I don't think he should like cease to exist. It's just that there's nothing else moving us forward. It's just it feels a little stagnant of like, we're just, I think for an entire year going to talk about the ways that they should or should not have responded to what happened.
Right.
And so I just need like some new action.
Right.
Although like when Katie said that, when she was like, I don't want to talk about him anymore or whatever, I'm like, well, that's again what you're being paid for. So you do need to talk about him.
Yeah. But yes, for sure she has to. But I liked that there's more rationale behind her hatred of Tom Sandoval because I kind of forgot. That,
she was like, she was basically crying.
Yeah, and both fights left her like very unresolved. Like she was really pissed, and it's like Tom Sandoval. What was interesting to me is that Katie has a unique grudge against Tom Sandoval that not a lot of them have. Like hers is very specific. He loves Schwartz so much.
Yeah.
And he always told Schwartz, this is a bad marriage. Katie treats you bad. She's evil to you. And then when you think about their marriage and you think about what Katie was secretly dealing with, you know, a lot of cheating. We saw Schwartz talk to her very awfully, despicably one time. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of stuff where there's more nuance in their relationship. And the fact that Sandoval was an active, like, get out of there, man. She's ruining you. You got to get out of there. She's a fucking monster.
Yeah.
I liked hearing Katie explain that to me again. That was meaningful to me.
I'm more on the side of that that's Schwartz's problem. Like, I don't think like someone's best friend can like talk them out of their marriage. I think that means that they had a shitty foundation to begin with, where he never sided with her because they were never on the same page. But I understand why she would resent him moving forward. But it's not like, if not for him.
No, I don't think it's all the way. I don't even think Katie really said that. I don't think it's like fully put on him. I just think that Tom Sandoval had Schwartz's ear, and they were more than just friends. They're business partners. They're like co-workers. Like Sandoval had a lot on Schwartz, and they had vested interest in each other.
Yeah.
And I do think that someone actively in your husband's life that just actively hates your significant other, it makes you feel like it's a point in the column of getting divorced, at least a little bit. Like, he didn't have her side at all, and he never liked Katie.
Yeah.
And I think I find a lot of merit to Katie, and I was always, I think, watching it, I was like, Katie is treating Schwartz awfully. You know, like, we see more instances of Katie treating Schwartz badly, but that's only because I feel like we missed a lot of opportunities to see Schwartz being extremely shitty to Katie. And also, we just for some reason let his cheating, the 3 times he cheated on her, and potentially now one more that he's adding to it,
Right.
we just let him sort of get out of jail free card on that for some reason.
Because she did.
Because Katie did.
Yeah.
Right.
We just followed her lead. If she would have been outraged, like truly outraged, and like broke up with him, we would be like, yeah, but we kind of just followed her lead, because she was like, she kind of just got over it.
Yeah, but she said she secretly was not.
Yeah.
Like, she said that she got to the point where she was so embarrassed that she just didn't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
She was so demoralized.
Yeah.
And so I guess, again, it's like it adds a little more clarity for me to hear this.
I thought she was going to bring up the thing with her mom.
Yeah.
I thought that's what she was going to say he never apologized for.
Oh,
because
yeah.
that was like the worst thing.
Oh, yeah. You bringing that up.
Sandoval, what'd he say? He said like told her mom to shut the fuck up or something.
Yeah, and that wasn't even on camera. That was just like something we heard.
Right. Like there was a little bit there between them, but yeah, apparently it got way worse.
Remember when
off
Schwartz
camera.
just like got lost at that resort one night, and he goes, "Sorry, I slept at another resort," and Katie was like, "Okay." Remember that?
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so it starts out at the Tom and Ariana compound. Tom is getting back from Tahoe, and the assistant is just on her way out to see the Barbie movie, so that sets a time and place.
We know exactly when that was. Sometime last year.
Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer.
What was that, July?
I think so. You think she
Yeah.
just saw Barbie?
She was only wearing pink. I did the full Barbenheimer, but famously, someone pulled the alarm during the first hour of Oppenheimer, and the whole entire Burbank AMC 16 had to flee.
And it was right when the nuke was going off, right? So you hear you see the nuke, and then the alarm.
Yeah, it's like,
starts-
wow. They pushed the button and the alarm went off.
Yeah.
So I had to see it again a few days later, but
Did you like it?
I did like it. I was just talking with friends about whether or not I would be interested in watching it again anytime soon. And at first I was like, I don't need to watch it for like 10 years. But then the more and more we talked about it, and the more like it was obviously huge at the Oscars, and I keep watching these little featurettes about the score and stuff. I'm like, fuck, I kind of want to watch it again.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. Totally. It struck me as a little more generic the second time watching it at home and not in the theater.
Yeah.
It felt more like a conventional biopic.
Yeah.
So that's not good.
Yeah.
So maybe you should watch it maybe one more time when you do get that itch, and then you'll be able to have the final opinion on it.
Yeah.
But
Maybe I can
liked-
go see it in theaters while it's still playing for the Oscars, since I have AMC A-list.
Yeah. I heard a little rumor that that Interstellar is going to go back to the IMAX. Did you like that movie?
I did at the time.
Yeah.
I saw they just released, they did a special Tenet release like a couple weeks ago that I've heard it's a stinker, but I would have liked to be able to see it in theaters.
I only thought it was a major stinker because I watched it on a 45-inch television or whatever. I'm sure seeing Tenet in an IMAX theater with it booming and bustling would really affect your
I know.
opinion on
I
it.
didn't hear about it till it was too late. I was disappointed.
But Interstellar is good. It's actually, I think, the Christopher Nolan movie that I've come to see as my favorite of all of his, and I've watched the most.
Okay.
Even
I
though I
need
didn't
to
like
watch it again.
Okay, good. So Sandoval said, "Hey, guess what, Anne? I know you're going to Barbenheimer, but I actually had a productive trip." She goes, "No fights?" He goes, well, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
And he goes, now if you'll excuse me, I need to unburden my soul, right? And she goes, are you going to do that in private? And he goes, yeah, sorry, I'm going to go up my room and write in my journal. So did you think Anne was kind of saying, like, please, for the love of God, don't unburden your feelings on me, right?
Yeah. But he did tell her he's like, yeah, I saw everybody at the airport and they were like, hey, come sit over here. And then later he talks to Lisa and he's like, I saw him at the airport and they were like, hey, sit over here. And I was like, he's like clinging for dear life to that greeting.
Say what you will about Tom Sandoval, but I think he's 100% being truthful when he says that Sheena and Brock said, hey, we're over here, because he has said that same thing, that same sentence over and over again. I think they had to have said it to him.
I think so. Then Sheena goes to Villa Rosa. And I feel like I don't know what she thinks the reaction to this particular storyline is going to be.
She thought the Sheena stands would rise up and celebrate, and we were.
But Lisa is fully prepared
to
react accordingly. Sheena says, first of all, she says that her time in Tahoe was the most draining day ever on the show, the worst day she's ever had filming.
Yeah, I mean, she said on the show, nothing has been worse than this.
Yeah. And then she says that basically Ariana's boyfriend revealed to her that that Ariana's doing Dancing with the Stars. And Lisa puts her head in her hands immediately, and I was like, wow, she already knew that where she was going with this, because I would have needed further explanation.
Right. Lisa, the way I first thought, she looks down and she shakes her head. And I was like, what does Lisa know about Dancing with the Stars from her time on it? Is it horrible to be on it?
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah. And then she goes, oh, well, I'm not going to do my Lisa because I don't want to do a pull a Rachel. But she goes, I know when I got Dancing with the Stars, I knew how much you wanted to be on it. So Lisa already knows the take that Sheena has about it.
Yeah. And she's like, yup. She's like, I even started taking dance class last year in preparation in case I ever got it. She's like,
I want to pause you there.
Yeah.
Sheena took dance classes in preparation of potentially getting on Dancing with the Stars.
It's kind of insane.
I can't imagine that she would have done that. How close was she to getting there?
Right.
I mean, you had no inkling that potentially you were going to get cast, but you were.
Do you think she just does it annually when they start casting? She just takes a few.
I mean, it sounds like she's wanted it since the Lisa era, which was 6 years ago?
10 years ago?
10 years ago. She's been waiting in the wings, and the fact the first Vanderpump Rules cast member that gets it is Ariana. I mean, that should be no surprise to her.
Right. Which Ariana said on Watch What Happens, something that I agree with, which is what's good for the goose is good for the gander, meaning I think Sheena has way more likelihood of getting on now that Ariana got so far and was super popular on the show. Did
Ariana say goose for the gander?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. It's it's the bridge now, the new pull from this universe.
Right.
Just Dancing with the Stars producers, I know you watch. Let Sheena go on Dancing with the Stars. What's the big deal?
Yeah, just that would be fun. She said that it was a punch to the gut for sure. And she went as far to do a little jab and said she's come a long way since being my backup dancer, and gave a sort of little smirk to the camera.
Now, I was with Sheena all the way. I'm totally fine with her being honest and saying I was happy for her and sad for me. We've all been in those situations where our wonderful friends get some opportunity and you secretly despise them for it.
Yeah.
Right? But to then add a little bit of I'm a better dancer. That's what that was saying. Or I was the star at one point and you were just backing me up. And now it's why did you throw that in? That can only tell me that Sheena and Ariana are really not doing good in this current era, or at least even 1 month when they film those confessionals after. Because she would never say that if she was even on the cusp to still being Ariana's friend.
Right. It seems she said, Ariana said on Watch What Happens, that she loves her dearly, but that, there have been some things that she's watching on the show now that are hurtful.
Yeah, and we've seen that, especially the comment that we just saw.
Yeah.
And then Sheena's talking about, in addition to this Dancing with the Stars thing, she's also talking about being so torn, and the whole the major storyline of this season so far is who can be friends with Sandoval without
Yeah.
Ariana hating them.
Right.
And so she talks again to Lisa, and Lisa just says, if it's such a good friendship, you can talk to her about your feelings and that you don't feel validated in your feelings. Like, if she's such a good friend to you, you can tell her. And Sheena's like, no, she won't listen to me. She won't listen to me at all about this. And then Lisa said, well, you just need to decide, what's best for you. Giving her advice or Lisa's seal of approval to keep going in the Sandoval direction.
Lisa cannot be trusted. I'm sorry.
No, she can't, because in this instance, she's very compromised.
Yeah.
In this instance, and in many other instances, she wants what's best for the show.
Yeah.
And what's best for the show is the cast members intermingling with Sandoval.
Yeah. She even said in her own confessional where she's like, I would never do that, but you know, she can if she wants.
Yeah, she said, I just want Sheena to say what she's thinking for once in her goddamn life.
Did you also, that was the main takeaway from the Rachel Goes Rogue thing, is that everything that Rachel told Lisa was like, ooh, that's good. You should come on the show and say it.
I know. She did. Yeah.
Which I believe, obviously.
Totally. But you know what I don't like? I mean, so I love Lisa, obviously. We say it every week.
Kiss the ring, kiss the ring.
Kiss her. We love her. We love her. Lisa, you're so good. We love you. And if you ever do anything nice for us, we'll never talk bad about you ever again. So we can totally be bought in your favor. But I have heard there's a pattern of Lisa having like favorites and then not keeping in touch with anybody once they're past the Vanderpump Rules universe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Brittany has talked about that. Jax has talked about that. Rachel now talked about that. It's just like, I think that Lisa doesn't do a good job of keeping in touch with people that don't mean anything to her currently.
Yeah.
At least from the show.
Yeah.
Which, that's kind of shocking to me. Like, I would still expect Lisa to be like, Brittany, I'm kind of still interested in you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there are certain exceptions. Like, I think the true OGs, I mean, she never liked Jax.
No.
I think that
she did like Jax. I take umbrage with that. I counter that.
Okay.
She thought he was, I was going to say the cat that ate the canary. She thought he was a cheeky guy.
Sure, but I think like someone like a Sandoval, Schwartzy, Sheena, I think they're, like you said, they're just because they're probably her like true favorites. I think that their relationship would probably surpass or like live past the show.
Okay.
I
All right.
think.
Well, we haven't seen it. There's no instance because
Right.
even Stassi, I know you can say there's bad
Right.
blood there, but she doesn't keep in touch with Stassi.
Yeah.
She doesn't really care about Stassi anymore. It's like,
Well, Stassi said that the goat cheese balls, well, actually she liked the goat cheese balls, but she said everything else at Sir sucks, right?
she eventually started to pull the veneer down from the Sir facade by saying it's not fun to work at Sir, and why does she have to pay deference to this shitty restaurant?
Yeah.
But she did always say the goat cheese balls were good, even
Yeah.
though they're not very good.
No. Have you read her books?
Yeah.
Are they good?
Yeah, I read Off with Her Head. You said Stassi's, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I read I think I read Off with Her Head, the second one. I never read the Basic Bitch first one, but the second one was really good.
Yeah. I need to read some of these Bravo books.
You should. Stassi's is probably the best one I read.
Okay.
And also, I think I've already said this, Stassi has the best podcast of any of the Vanderpump Rules podcasters.
I just sent you a clip. I've revealed already that I'm short-term Airbnb neighbors in the same general area as Stassi right now. And she just revealed on her podcast that, speaking of the devil, Christopher Nolan is also a neighbor.
Christopher Nolan lives right by where Amy currently lives and where Stassi and Bo live. So if we see him, I said this off mic, if we see him, I'm going to pull him into your house and he's going to have to go on the record on Turtle Time as a guest.
Okay, let's do it.
Do you know what you'd want to ask him?
Maybe we could talk about the Fast and the Furious movies, although I guess that's already been done, but I would like even more detail.
I would like that too. I would say, have you ever seen any Bravo shows? Because this is
Yeah.
a Bravo podcast. If he says no, explain to him what Bravo is and say, now that I've explained all these different shows, what do you think you'd like the most?
Yeah. Okay. We can show him Scary Island.
Oh, right. Let's do that. That's much better than what I said.
Yeah, we'll order pizza.
Could you imagine a Nolan night like that?
Fun.
Pizza? Nolan, what's your favorite toppings? He'd be like, pepperoni. And then we go, we're going to put on one of your movies, one for you, one for us. And then we watch Scary Island and we say, which one did you think was better? But
That's a long night.
what, 6 hours?
Yeah.
Did you like The Prestige?
You know what? I have to think for a second because I get it confused with the other one.
No. Okay, so there's the one called The Illusionist. That one's I've never seen it before, but I don't think it's regarded as highly as you would like Prestige because it's Hugh
Prestige-
Jackman,
yeah, I've seen
Christian Bale,
It's
David
Tesla.
Bowie. Yeah, Nikolai Tesla is played by David Bowie.
Yeah.
The guy Andy Serkis.
Uh-huh.
It's a who's who of fun people, and it's a really good movie. You've only seen it once, I assume.
Yeah. My brain always goes crazy with the two.
Yeah.
It's the classic thing. It's like there's
Yeah.
Deep Impact, Armageddon,
Yep.
there's Volcano, and what's the other one?
Dante's Peak.
Dante's Peak.
Barbie and Poor Things.
Yeah. Prestige, Illusionist.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, Hollywood wants to make two movies at the same time. Or they just somehow in the development they get.
Yeah, a twofer. But no, I liked that movie. It had a fun twist.
Yeah. Do you remember it?
It's the Christian Bale one, right?
Yeah, Christian
Yeah.
Bale. And I'm going to spoil The Prestige, but everyone has to watch it. But I'm going to spoil it just for Amy right now because she might not remember.
Yeah.
15 seconds forward. Christian Bale has a twin brother the entire time, and no one knows it until the very end. And
But it pays off in they replay. It was there
yes.
the whole time, which something like a salt burn or something like that, where it's like, well, you didn't show me anything, so
Right.
you can't reveal if you didn't show the whole time.
Yeah, I haven't seen Saltburn yet, but I heard that twist lands like a thud.
Yeah.
But in Prestige, spoiler alert, there's this bearded guy who looks kind of weird next to Christian Bale the entire time, and that's his twin brother.
Can you imagine? I'm pretty good at like not noticing and like letting people take me along for the ride.
Me too.
But imagine if you noticed that like early on, and the whole time you're like, "What the fuck?"
It has to be his twin brother wearing that beard. Yeah, I would love to know if we were back in 2005 or whatever, who got that twist early. That'd be so fun. But I think for Nolan Knight, Prestige first,
Okay.
right?
Illusionist second.
Illusionist, see how he thinks about that, and then we show him the culmination of all of Bravo's power, and maybe that's Scary Island.
Yeah, I agree.
Good.
Okay.
Is that- I think I see.
Did we get?
No, I think I see Christopher Nolan.
He's on a little hike.
Christopher. Okay. Okay. Next. Okay.
Ariana and Lala get coffee, which I have to say, when this appeared before me, I sighed. I was like, "Come on."
Well, the only reason I sigh is because the Lala Ariana dynamic is not. I don't know. I don't know if they're just not very close.
Yeah.
Or there's not a lot of camaraderie there. They always feel a little stilted when they're just one-on-one, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
It's forced.
Can I say one thing?
Yep.
They do this sort of walk and talk through Melrose
Yeah.
from Be Quiet
God.
Coffee.
They pass all about the bread.
They pass all about the bread. They pass Chipotle, and then they have the end of the scene. Right in the back of them is my first office that I ever worked in LA, Clicker.
Oh wow.
The website. I was like, they're right by my old work stomping grounds. This is not a big deal, only to Amy and maybe two little turtle cuties. But I was just, the background of their shot is this
Oh,
office I
wow.
worked in. I was like, damn, this is like full circle LA life.
Is it right by that like vet's office? And
You-
then
you-
down the street there's
When you-
Milk Bar.
Well, when you look again, it's a furniture store now,
Okay.
but you see just behind Ariana, there's this staircase going up in this sort of glass building. I used to work in that, and then
Oh,
it
wow.
got taken over. It completely folded like a ton of bricks, or like folded like laundry, and it went out of business, and now it's a furniture store.
Wow.
So anyway,
No, I noticed when they were outside of the Chipotle on that corner, I was like, that's such a busy corner. I'm surprised
know.
that they're filming right there. Like, why did they keep walking that far? And the cameraman was kind of running around.
I thought that they were supposed to have that scene in the coffee shop, and something went wrong with the location, because Lala goes, let's sit for a second. And then Ariana sits. And then the minute they get their coffees, they go, let's actually walk.
Mm.
And they walked. I've never seen a scene like that.
Yeah.
A walk and talk out in the day in a chaotic environment.
Yeah.
I saw people, there's like people behind them. They're obviously probably looking at them. I saw
Yeah.
one guy get out of Chipotle, and he starts to trip on a bench. There was like a lot. I was watching the scene over and over
Yeah.
again. It seemed chaotic. And
I
also
noticed
like
that too.
Lala wasn't in frame for some
Uh-huh.
parts. The cameraman was bouncing up and down like his camera wasn't
Right,
stabilized.
because it's not like it was like a scenic walk. It was like where are you guys going?
Yeah, and I think they like stopped, and there was some inconsistency with where they were having their conversation at one point.
Yeah.
So I'm just lending my theory out there because that's what we're here for. I
Yeah.
think that they were supposed to film it, be quiet, coffee. There was a rabid fan in there, or something weird happened, and
Yeah.
they had to go do a run and gun, walk and talk.
I used to get my nails done over there. Pampered Hands. I recommend if you guys are over
I
there.
used to walk on Melrose every day for lunch. I would go to Chipotle or All About the Bread. That was my stomping grounds.
Ugh, I love All About the Bread.
Or California Chicken Cafe.
oh yeah.
That was if you wanted to eat a
Get
little
a
healthy.
little wrap.
Do you like that place?
It is good.
It's been around forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, good.
That
okay,
was niche, but
so
I like the idea of Lala questioning authority on, breaking the strict idea
Yeah.
that Ariana is always right and that everyone should be on her side. But this saying that she keeps bringing it up. She brought it up on the after show. She's, it comes up throughout this episode that Ariana should defend the shit that Sheena's getting from the fans for posing in that photo with
yeah.
Sandoval. She's saying you need to post on her behalf. You need to make it clear that you're not mad about this because she's getting taken down online or whatever. And to me, I agree with Ariana. I'd be like, just ignore it. Like, it's
Yeah.
bullshit. Who cares?
Yeah, and Katie also had even a more negative take. She was
She
like,
went all the way the other way.
yeah, she was like, you shouldn't be doing this, and you should get hate for your actions or whatever. Like, she's so pissed at Sheena right now. I agree with you. I do believe that there should be some morally gray thoughts that are brought into this, and maybe Ariana should have defended Sheena, but I understand what you're saying. Like, she doesn't have to.
Yeah.
It was above and beyond, and I had no idea that statement was like forced
I know.
by Lala at the
It
time.
was a comment, right? That's the
It
way she
was-
took about.
Yeah, it was a comment, but also
I think that was smart because I think posting an entire post about it would be a lot, but just doing a comment which she knew would be found, I think that was a good subtle way to do it.
But I still do not understand. Like, I do not understand why just because the proximity to Sandoval was physically touching him, why no one else got shit for that.
Right.
Lala was in the same photo.
Right.
Why does the internet have so much absolute hatred towards Sheena just because she happened to be walking next to him
Right.
at the time? And who's gonna, like Katie said, hold your hands up and pretend that you're
Yeah, she said that she should have been like, ugh.
yeah, and Sheena said like at the time, she's like, what am I gonna do? Frown in somebody's birthday photo?
Right.
It's like, anyway, I'm like, I just don't understand why Sheena gets the full brunt.
Yeah.
But again, what I'm thinking about Lala though is that Lala doesn't have a stake in this.
Yeah.
So I feel like she's only advocating for this position because she knows it's fiery and
Yeah.
a good thing to bring up. But she doesn't have any stake in the game.
No.
She doesn't care about. She knows that like. She doesn't care what Ariana says about her. I think that's indicative of how close they are.
Yeah.
And she also doesn't care. Like you said, Lala's like, I get a paycheck. I work.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do? Like,
Yeah.
throw him to the wind and never see him again? But I don't like that the advocate for Sandoval is coming from Lala, who doesn't have a strong opinion in
Yeah.
this.
That said, she is very close with Sheena.
Yeah,
so
she's doing
that,
good for Sheena.
Yeah, that part makes sense that she's like, you need to,
But again,
make a
it's like
case.
Lala is always a dog in other people's fights.
yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is where Lala is like so. I'm not going to say it's not compelling, but for some reason she is like storyline. What's that? Like rubber and glue? Like she cannot keep a storyline that we're engaged in without interfering in other people's dynamics.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of her thing, I guess. But yeah, Ariana feels very low energy in this conversation. She's sort of like, what?
I think she's
like,
I think she's tired of saying over and over again to everyone that her red line is she doesn't want anyone to have access to, or Tom Sandoval to have access to her life, and anyone who does that, she won't be close with anymore.
right. Yeah, and she says again, I'm not the one to come to for the Sandoval sympathy train. And Lala's like, you have to understand, Sheena lost one of her best friends, and Ariana says, so did I. I lost two, which is true. Like
Yeah.
we said that before.
I find Ariana to be more coherent, and I have more sympathy for her in this scene than I had for the last few episodes when she was just like making faces at Sheena on FaceTime. Like that wasn't as that didn't get me in her corner. But this, to me, when she like states her case like this, like I really do understand it. She said, Tom Sandoval makes me uncomfortable to be around, and I'm not going to be in situations where I'm uncomfortable with him.
Right. And Lala, similar to how Lala's big detail about Ariana is that she shares a house with Sandoval. Her big detail in defense of Sheena is that she caught a restraining order on your behalf.
Right.
Which I'm like, I mean, she was also just personally pissed. It's not like she got a restraining order out of pure loyalty
Or
to Ariana.
Ariana was like, punch her.
Right. But she's mentioned that like 5 times. Like that's her one-liners. Like she caught a restraining order for you.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a stretch.
And then Ariana says a little dip into Sheena's psychology, which I liked at the end of the scene. Well, just because I like that it makes Ariana's stance more clear, which is she said Sheena is the weakest link here, and she doesn't mind being walked all over, which is, rude, but Ariana sees it that way. And she says, and I think if Tom Sandoval can get to Sheena, then he'll get to Lala, then he'll get to James, and then my whole friend group or this group will ice me out. And I mean, knowing Sandoval,
not inaccurate.
it's right. So it's like so I liked that she added a little more. It wasn't just this one note thing that she keeps saying over again. She's like, this is why I'm not letting Sheena, there's at least a little more rationale behind these feelings towards Sheena, which I understand.
Yeah. What did you feel when you saw Christina Kelly back on your screen?
It's so mean, and we're so mean to Christina Kelly. We were so mean last year when we first started Turtle Time, just because it's like, whatever charisma the cast members have, there is, it's fine. Not everybody has to pop in reality television, but I just noticed that Christina Kelly was almost a full-time cast member last season. She was like almost in every episode with Katie.
Yeah, she got a business launch episode.
We had full events dedicated to her, and you do not. I mean, we just don't feel the absence from her, and that's fine. I don't think this is what Christina Kelly enjoys doing, and she was just there as a friend to say, so what's the drama that's going around these days? I mean, that was her point.
Right. It's never necessarily a good sign when she is needed, but so they do like girls.
She wasn't needed. It was only for them to not have the same conversation with each other.
To fill someone in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, first of all, Sheena reveals that Summer Moon broke her arm.
That was horrible.
Sad. But I feel like, she was saying, it's ironic that I have been so terrified of something happening to her under someone else's care. And then that happened right in front of my eyes. So I don't know. I don't know if that freaked her out more. Hopefully it was more like, okay, something bad happened and it's going to be okay. I don't know if it made her more freaked out or less, but you know.
I mean, that's pretty bad, on your own watch. So I think that should sort of let you be a little more free, to like have some other people just knowing that like a horrific thing can happen at any time anyway.
Right.
Maybe you're right. Maybe that would make you feel
sure.
more worried.
Right. Like, oh God, it's true. So then, Christina's like, what's the tea? Like, is there anything going on or whatever? And then they do the whole thing where they're like, if you've noticed, there's something going on with a certain someone. And she goes, who? And they're like, Tom Sandoval. And she goes, who? And I was like, all right, anyways.
All right, talk about what you need to talk about. And
she says to Sheena, she's like, do you think, she's like, basically Sheena says she's still mourning the loss of that friend. She thinks that Ariana has already mourned and is done, and she's making millions of dollars. And Katie's like, I don't know why you want that kind of individual in your life. And Sheena's like, well, I mean, I do miss who he used to be. And she brings up that story we always talk about how he was nice to her at the upfronts the very first time. And Katie is so dismissive. She goes, that was 1 billion years ago.
Yeah. She goes, try to forget those things.
Yeah.
Things like that, like that make you sympathetic towards him. And Lala goes, well, that's really unfair of you to say, Katie.
Yeah. And also Christina asks Sheena, do you think that he was sadder about losing friendship with you more than losing Ariana? And Sheena's like, honestly, yes, because their relationship was in a very bad place and like they needed to break up anyways. And she goes like, why did Ariana stay. And this is where she goes, I mean, look at Jax and Brittany. Like, they show the Rotten Hell clip, and she's like, they literally got married and had a kid after that.
Yeah.
So, like, people stay, you know?
Those scenes with the timestamps with the year on them are so much more shocking than when you witnessed it in real time.
Yeah.
You know, it's like 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
It was the next year he
Yeah.
proposed to her.
Yeah. Will you make me the happiest man in the world?
Yeah. Yeah. And Katie is losing her tolerance for this pro Sandoval talk. Sheena also says, this is the first time I saw Sandoval cry genuine tears. And she's just like rolling her eyes.
Yep.
And then they try to change the subject for a quick second, right?
Yeah, Sheena reveals that she has had sex with the bartender at this restaurant.
In 2006.
Long time ago.
So 3 years before Vanderpump Rules ever aired.
Yeah, and then it quickly goes back to...
Yeah, Katie says, she says, you know, I'm really glad or she says something like, I'm going to jump off the roof, right? If we continue this, have this conversation. And then this is when she said what we already talked about, right?
Yeah.
Which is that I think, you know, this man has always been horrible to me. I think he was detrimental to my marriage. And then at a certain point, I think she says the D word on him. She says he's a demon.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, she's getting pissed. But like I said before, I'm like, her entire rant generally against Sheena and being so pissed off that Sheena wants to give him an inch, I get it. It's like you never liked him.
Right.
So it's like, I understand why you're like, if you have always hated someone, then they do something that makes the entire world hate them. You're like, finally.
Right.
And then when it starts to inch back
Yeah.
and people start to be like, well,
Yeah.
maybe not so much, you're like, no.
Right. Like, yeah, we all hated him. But I mean, you're saying Sheena's relationship is not Katie's relationship, which is what Lala is saying. She's saying, like, Lala is everything Katie says. Lala is like, that's you. And Katie's like, well, I have no sympathy, you know, and Lala's like, that's just you.
Right.
That's your perspective on things, which you're right. It's like Katie does, like her and Stassi both did. They let their stance like override everything, and they were black and white, very black and white. So like Katie is doing that again. I was just glad that she voiced why this hatred for him finally.
Yeah. Did you see that her and Schwartz did a sort of playful Instagram story this week?
Yeah, it was sweet. It said Tom Schwartz posted like a little donut and
It was
mac
a kids'
and
cuisine.
cheese. Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he said my meals before Katie.
Yeah, my palate.
Oh, right.
And like according to Katie, like sort of like a little like jab, but it was like basically like sharing a meme with her publicly.
Yeah.
And then she shared it and was like, this is how all guys are before they meet me, with like the like crying laughing emoji. I was like, that's cute.
Yeah, it was the first time I've seen a meme go back and forth where Katie wasn't like mean to him.
Right. He also, I saw I think it was a pillow or something, that it was that upholstery fabric. Remember to BravoCon, he wore that jacket and she said he looked like a couch. It was like a pillow or something of that fabric, and it said you look like a couch, and he reposted it and he said, what in tarnation?
Wow, that's fun. I like that. Did you see that in the mid-season trailer that he asked Katie for one more one-night stand together?
No.
Yeah, he says,
I missed
Katie,
that.
he goes, I'm really, really horny right now. Is there any way we could go up to, no, he says it much nicer than that. He says like, hey, I would really love one last one-night stand together. And they don't show Katie's reaction to it.
I'm scared.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm curious because I feel like whenever anyone's mad at Schwartz and like all during Sandoval, she didn't defend him at all, even though I do think she has a soft spot for him and they generally have like an okay relationship or whatever. But I'm trying to think of like the reverse of like, it would be, I'm trying to think of someone that it would be hard for Katie to fully turn on the way she's asking people to do of Sandoval.
Oh, wait. Let me think of that thought experiment again.
Who is someone that if everyone turned on them, it would be hard for her to fully agree?
Satchel.
Satchel? Like Schwartz, I would say, except she's happy to turn on him.
Right. Who does Katie... Well, it was hard. It was really hard for her to turn on Stassi. It took
Yeah.
a long time, but she did eventually turn and went in the full hate camp against Stassi. So
Yeah.
even Stassi's, an exception. I don't know. I haven't seen like Christina
Dana?
Dana, but I can
Her
imagine a world.
co-host.
But I can imagine a world where disrespectfully podcasts where they might have a huge rift.
Yeah.
We don't know Katie's outside friends very much. I'm sure she has a robust group of people in her life that we don't see that maybe she would not have, that same stance with. But I can't think of a good example except Satchel and
Right. Maybe Ariana right now
I mean, I
because
don't
of
know.
their business.
I thought once Katie got on the Lala train, they were thick as thieves. Like last season, they were tight as hell. And then seeing this blow up, I'm
Right.
like, whoa, there's some resentment there that you guys have towards each other.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. I never really know what's going on with Katie, really, because she's always just kind of like attached to someone else.
But last season, well, she was a little attached to Christina Kelly. But Christina Kelly was now her hinge woman.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're saying, okay, so yeah, I mean, I think we got to see Katie unencumbered.
Last season was her best version of being independent.
Yeah, and we were saying, I mean, she was like on the right side of history. She was the one that like Rachel was mocking her by going after Schwartz and kissing him. Schwartz was being awful to her by saying, I'm so glad we're not married anymore. I
Right.
hate her or whatever. Like we were on Katie's side for the most part. But I think I don't know. This is the first time where I got that season 10 Katie back and I was happy. A little bit.
Yeah.
A little glimpse of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We shall see.
My favorite scene. Lisa goes, who the hell put up this gate? Well, I guess it's kind of nice. And it's like, this gate came from Pump and that you put it there.
Right.
She was acting surprised by this thing. It's like, obviously that was her decision.
Right.
And
Tom walks in. He's like, what the hell?
seriously, if I was betting and I knew Tom Sandoval back in the old day, like I think I know him, I feel like a full-blown tirade would have
Yeah.
happened against Lisa if he didn't need Lisa on his side right now.
Right. I mean,
it's a
also,
big deal.
I think that they care less and less about Tom now because they have their own bar that they own completely, basically, that they're completely financially on the hook for. They have, the entire Scandoval. I think they're at this point like, if Tom can run itself, like I don't need to deal with that at all.
I would never care less. I mean, I get what you're saying. I believe that could be the case, but I would have been indignant as hell if I was even at 2.5%, which I don't remember if that's correct.
It
Because
is. It was 5% total split between the
but
Toms.
didn't they have a time where they gave $100,000 and they got
to get
re-up their
more?
percentage?
Right.
I'm just saying, I thought it was rude of Lisa to say, do you think I care about 2.5% partners when Tom was built, first of all, on their camaraderie as friends and
Yeah.
the ethos of the Toms together. That's why it exists. And also, you used to ask their feedback a lot. They used to be very essential to the decision-making process of this restaurant. It's only now that you're trying to say, what were you thinking? They never had say in this place. So she's trying to like distance herself from the Toms in this aspect, but she's also Tom Sandoval's #1 fan right now. I thought it was a very mixed message that she was
Yeah.
sending.
I mean, if we go back and watch, I feel like she, under the guise of covering, building the bar and opening it, they were involved. But when you actually saw the decisions that they got to make, there were very few. Remember, they got fucked up in Vegas when they were supposed to
Yeah.
go pick out the nickel lane lighting.
I love that scene. They are being
That's
so
great.
annoying. They're knocking stuff over. They're touching stuff. Lisa is so pissed with them. I love that scene. But I think it's, first of all, it's a ridiculous decision to like sort of push your old restaurant that failed into the new restaurant to sort of consider it like a victory or something,
Right.
or that you don't want to.
Don't they do like pump
Yes.
brunch at Tom,
Yes,
which is
it's
very confusing.
It's confusing. It's like Lisa wants to have her pump or cake from Pump
Yeah.
and eat it too. And
Also,
pretend
we
it-
all know that the food at Tom is better than the food at Pump. So why would they do that.
Yeah, Tom Sandoval's probably like, for the love of God, please don't bring the chef from Pump.
We're
Our food
bringing
is-
the chef from Sir.
Oh my God! He's like, no. He's like, immediately the health inspector runs over. He's like, well, no. So I think that this is what I was trying to say is that in a different season, I would have loved if I was rooting for Tom Sandoval for him and Schwartz to come up to Tom, see that, and go, what the hell is going on here? I know
Right.
they have their own business, but to be honest, they never know what's going to happen to Schwartz and Sandy. I
Yeah.
mean, you need to don't just say, out of sight, out of mind. I don't need to think about this place anymore. I would think of Tom as a stable business that you should still care about.
I still need more details on what that payout is like at the 2.5 or 5%. Like, do they get paid quarterly, monthly? Like, how does that work?
Let's ask.
Yeah.
Let's ask Schwartz.
Okay. I will.
You will?
I need to go. I still haven't been to Schwartz and Sandy's, but since I've been living over here.
It would be like a 10-minute walk, right?
Yeah. Maybe 15. They do the screenings every Tuesday.
All right. Well, whenever you get your druthers and you want to walk over there, I will join you on a Tuesday if you ever want.
Okay.
Maybe for an episode that you think is going to be very powerful.
Okay. That sounds good. But yeah, so they sit down. For some reason, he brings Lisa ice cream.
Now, for some reason, I had a lot of questions before I knew he was in his gift-giving era.
Right.
Why did he do this? He's never brought ice cream before.
It's weird.
Does Lisa secretly love ice cream?
I mean, she didn't want it at first, but then she caved.
Yeah. And so they go, so first Tom Sandoval says, they get in, he goes, so the pump sign out there, huh? Wow, pretty interesting. I thought we were in Pump here all of a sudden. And I feel like that was 1/100th of what he actually wanted to say.
Yeah.
And I don't know, are you with me in this where, did you ever hear the rumor that Sandoval and Lisa got in a screaming fight that wasn't on camera at Tom Tom?
Oh, right. I kind of remember that. Do you think it was this?
I think after that scene, they might have screamed at each other about that, but they didn't put it on camera because it would mess up the narrative too much.
Right.
Unless it happens next episode, but I don't think so. This wasn't a to be continued.
Right.
But I heard, and Little Turtle Cuties have been good about this, and Villa Rosa VIPs, because we didn't lie about the Graham thing where he descended down the stairs. We were right.
Yeah.
So I feel I have another strong inkling that I heard that Tom Sandoval and Lisa got into a screaming match at Tom Tom, and I think it might have been about this signage.
Right. I mean, there was also that thing from, was it last week or whenever, was that at Vanderpump Dogs, where she's like, you look better than the last time I saw you, and he's like, that's where he's like, Lisa, I am, and that's when she was saying he needed absolute contrition. Like, I wonder if some people thought that was screaming.
Okay. All right. If it was that, but I don't know. He wasn't screaming that bad. And was that a Tom Tom or Sir? I don't know. But I know I might be so alone in this, but I know that if this was a different season, Tom Sandoval, he already gave it in his confessional a little bit. He goes, I wish that Lisa would have, consulted me as a business partner or whatever. But I think that this could have been a full season arc of him going, what the hell are you doing to my beautiful restaurant?
Right. Yeah. And so then he brings up that he's worried about Rachel, and she goes, I wasn't going to tell you, but I spoke to her at length.
Now, Lisa wasn't going to tell him this, right?
Yeah,
I like that she also said at length, because she was like, you have no idea the conversation I had with Rachel. It was long. She told me everything. Lisa is loving that she got this exclusive story from Rachel, and she wants to make a meal out of it.
Right. Yeah. She's like, she didn't seem very happy with you. And then Rachel on the other side said that basically the conversation was supposed to be about Graham, but that Lisa kept bringing it back to Sandoval.
Lisa kept, and she kept saying, bring me flowers at Villa Rosa and let's have a real conversation.
Yeah. And then, Tom's like, I've tried to reach out to her. She blocked me. And Lisa's like, well, then it's over then. Like, to her, it's very simple. Like, if you're blocked, it's done.
She blocked me, he said. He also said, she goes, when she was saying she's not too happy with you, Tom. She also says, she said she was very uncomfortable lying all the time.
Oh,
and
right.
she said that you told her life is lying.
Yeah. She said on her podcast that her quote was, lying is a way of life.
Wait, she said that on her podcast? I didn't get to that point.
And she said, that's not the way of my life.
I did not hear her say that. Wow,
Yeah.
that would have gone to the top of my radar had I heard that. So she admits that she said this. So Tom Sandoval, we know now, if two people corroborate it and they even got it broken like a game of telephone to where you know the true intent was said, it must be true.
Yeah.
Lying is a way of life /
Life is lying.
Which do you think is worse?
I feel like whenever he was like, I did not say that. And I'm like, I think a lot of the time he doesn't like remember what he said.
No, and also he kind of paused because I think he was waiting. He was one of those statements where you think if there might be corroborating evidence, it will get you in trouble. So he had to pause for a second before he definitively say that. And he could kind of get out on a technicality by saying, no, I said lying is just one way of life. Or,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or like part of life,
Yeah.
maybe.
So Sandoval is just a little liar.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, that's what the whole revelation was that he told her to lie,
Do
the
you
whole
think
time.
living is lying?
I'm living a lie.
I try to tell the truth.
Yeah.
I try to very seldomly lie.
Yeah. Even white lies, still stressful.
Yeah, white lies are bad. I only would do a lie if there's absolutely no harm that could come from it, and
Surprise
it will only
party?
make someone. Yeah, I would only lie if it was like, I don't know why this came to me, Terry Dubrows' surprise party, and I had to lie to Terry to not tell him what was secretly going on in his house.
Yeah.
But-
You don't tell him that he was going to get onion rings.
Who did that again?
He wanted onion rings, and she was like, onion rings are déclassé, and then later she throws him a birthday that has onion rings.
Oh, that was so sweet.
Yeah.
But not even that. That's kind of almost fully permissible to me. But I only mean if it's not going to hurt someone else and it's actively going to make them like not feel bad, I would throw out a little white lie.
Yeah.
But I'm trying not to be like Tom Sandoval where life is lying.
Yeah, that's a dark way of life.
He also says so this is the full breadth of what he talked about. He also says that he thinks him and Rachel got to the end of their rope because she told him, hey, this program wants me to stay another 6 months. They say a lot of people stay here for a really long time. And Sandoval goes, the longer you stay in there, the harder it's going to be for you to face reality. And he said because he didn't agree fully with the program, they labeled him sort of an enemy of her goodwill, he says.
Right.
And, and then that was the end of him and Rachel. And I feel like the reason Lisa said this scene is because narratively they have to close the book on Rachel because they know that she's never going to participate. So they have to make Tom Sandoval have a legitimate factual, even though it's not factual, I don't think, a storyline reason for why he's moving on and dating. That's what I think this scene is. And then that's why I think Schwartz eventually says, you need to go out and date. It's like, we don't know how to explain this Rachel shit very well. So let's just have him move on.
Yeah. I when he was saying that he was sort of marked an enemy of the program or whatever, I mean, it makes sense because she basically had to go to that rehab because of what happened with him. So obviously when she did some work on parsing their relationship and everything that happened there, it would make sense that by the end of her time there, she would be like, you're bad.
Yeah. Do you think, this just came to my mind. Do you think when she was on a phone call, they maybe listened to phone calls and she was like, hey, Tom, how are you? I didn't really like lying all the time. And Tom Sandoval goes, life is lying.
They cut the line.
They go, Rachel, we have something unfortunate we have to say about your boyfriend. We do not want you to see him ever again. I just heard him whisper like a snake, life is
Like
lying into your
full
ear.
Voldemort.
Yeah. Okay. Can we sort of breeze through the Lala office scene?
Yes.
Not to diminish what she did there, but
No, I just think it's very funny that Lisa hates the idea of a sperm donor. She's so traditional that she's just like, oh no, why would you do that?
yeah, that's a Lisa stance where I'm like, I don't know where you're coming from. Traditional.
And Lala's like, don't even say anything because you can't convince me otherwise. My mind is made up.
She's almost like, stop talking. You will never do anything to change my mind. Basically, it's probably already started.
Right. Yeah.
But I do like Lala is very interesting to me because I'm very hot and cold, but I did like that she is reassessing the Give Them Lala brand because she realizes that it's ostracizing. It's limiting to who you can reach out to have your name in the brand, because she is a divisive figure, or not everyone wants to like be a fan of a specific person instead of a brand. You know what I mean? So I thought that was evolution in Lala's mind. Give Them Lala sort of was very self-serving.
Right. Yeah, I do think she is experiencing, or showing growth and change, which I think is fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really sad, like the thing where she was saying that she wants an absolute with this baby, basically meaning that no one can take the baby away, which is like such a sad point of view. Like, it sucks that she has to enter this from that place. Like, I think, it sounds like she feels very good about this decision and it works for her, and that's great. But I'm sad that she basically was so damaged by what happened with her custody battle and everything, that she has to approach her next kid this way. Yeah,
she lost her full faith in men completely.
Yeah.
And never wants that to happen again. And like she said, there's like a 50% chance that could happen again. So I think it's a great decision. And you're right. I was touched by that rationale. I thought it was sweet.
Yeah, I feel like she didn't get necessarily as much, I think, because she couldn't talk about it, and everyone uses that against her, that she couldn't totally go into her life during that time or whatever. But I think, from watching Bethany and from having friends who I know that have gone through custody stuff, I think it like truly cannot be underestimated, the mental torture that it is. Like, I kind of like never really thought about it, but when you like imagine like you give birth to a child, your husband does fucked up shit to you, and you have, or not husband, but whatever, like you have to leave them, and then legally you have to just give them your baby X number of days a week and just eat shit and be like, I have to do this, even though my entire body, mind, and soul is like screaming that I don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah.
Like, that's fucked.
Yeah, and it makes her decision make so much more sense when she puts it that way. It's horrible, and I'm glad. It's like, it sounds like this is going to be the perfect solution for her. So I'm happy.
Yeah, she said on the after show that she was inseminated in December and that it worked the first time.
Right.
So she's been pregnant since then, and she's due September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I think she said, near her birthday. September
One day
2nd.
apart. Yeah.
That's amazing. So then we go to See You Next Tuesday.
Yes.
James is DJing his ass off, and this is the second time now we're seeing Joe, but it's like Joe is on full display.
She gets a confessional.
It's the Joe hour. Schwartz and Joe come in, and they're wearing sort of like identical outfits, right?
Was this where she was wearing a tube top, or was that later?
Oh, I forget. I think she's wearing a tube top, but they're both wearing sort of similar hats in different colors, and they're giving you a sense of their sort of camaraderie right when they get in there.
Frickin' frack.
A little bit like who were frickin' frack?
I don't know, the legend.
Oh, okay. Like, well, I guess like, oh, is it a legend?
I don't know.
Yeah, sort of like Uncle Mo and Curly and what's the other?
Uncle Mo?
Who were the Three Stooges again? Mo, Curly, and Laird.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of they were kind of being silly, and Schwartz is like, or she says, "How do you think spiders talk?" And it was like, kind of an odd question. He goes, "You ever heard of barking spiders?" And then Joe already starts laughing really, really hard. Like, he just said the funniest thing just by naming barking spiders. And then he goes, "It's what you call an F slur." Did you hear that part?
Oh.
And then she didn't know that, so she starts laughing harder. And I was like, instantly, this is like this chemistry is a little off.
In case anyone is new here, that's our joke for gas.
Someone was new here.
They're like, oh my God.
They're like, wait, I didn't hear that part. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Schwartz dropped a F-bomb, not the one you're thinking of, the one in which... You know what Amy just said. Anyway, I thought either Joe is very awkward on camera, or their chemistry is like, we're two oddballs, knuckleballs.
All I can say is that there's nothing charming about it. Like, everyone I've spoken to, probably a sample of like 10 people, their reaction was, what the hell?
Yeah, and honestly, it made me think like that Schwartz wants that sort of oddball energy. I was like, maybe Katie was sort of reeling you in a little bit, and you knew that there was a certain like level of silliness you can get to, but his silliness unfettered with Joe, there was a lot of decisions he made where I was like, I've never seen Schwartz like this.
Yeah.
And I'll just skip forward. He like they do like this weird like robot improv at that bar or
Yeah,
whatever,
that
date-
beer place.
that beer party, and I'm just like, what is going on here? What is happening? It's not. I guess it's not reading well what
it's
this
just, like,
chemistry is.
It's like manic energy.
Yeah.
Like they're just like joking constantly and just like they're like, we're so weird. Like,
Yeah, and then also whenever he brings up like sex with each other, Joe like starts to scream.
she's like, me, ma, 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 la, 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 la.
Even when they're alone, she me. She starts to do F-slur noises with her tongue and starts pointing to her tongue while she's making a noise.
Yeah,
to, like,
like
cover it up.
gag me
Like,
with a
this is
spoon
not-
kind of a thing.
Yeah, I'm like, this is not right. And especially when they did it alone. Maybe we can just like,
Yeah.
breeze past that scene once we get to it. But
Yeah.
even when they did it alone, when he's like, she's like, tell people I'm your sister. And he goes, well, people know that I had sex, so I can't call you my sister. And she goes, don't say sex or whatever. And it's like, she's screaming. It's like, you guys are alone. She's breaking the fourth wall.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, she says in her confessional that they were intimate a month ago
yeah.
at this time.
I'm kind of resentful of Schwartz for lying to my face. I know he's a liar, and I know he's been one to lie, but I've gotten back on the Schwartz train a little bit. So to find out that in season 10 he was just lying to the whole audience about him making love to Joe, that was like disheartening.
Yeah, he said he didn't divulge. Also, like, she's like a drinking buddy. They did a shot and drank beer, so it's like, she's so fun, she's crazy.
Yeah. So we'll skip that scene because I just wanted to go ahead. 'Cause it's sort of, they're two sides of the same coin, as I like to say.
Yeah, and she's like freakishly pro Sandoval. Like,
Yeah, she's an early Sandoval defender, which
right.
those are the people that Sandoval should have been skeptical about.
Well,
The
no
ones
wonder all the women hate her.
right. Oh yeah, she did a lot of things. But anyway, they get into Sir, right?
Yeah.
And they sit around a table. It's immediately sort of awkward energy. They're like, we're the tall people. We have to lean forward. And Allie goes, you guys are funny together. But it's one of those like, I'm not laughing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to call you guys funny. You know what I
Right.
mean? When you don't actually think something is funny. And then it instantly sort of, they talk about Graham a little bit, but then all of a sudden Sandoval pops his little head in.
Yeah.
And Allie is now, I feel like she's even more against Sandoval than she was in Lake Tahoe now. She was vacillating between full hatred of him.
Mm-hmm.
At Lake Tahoe, she was kind of talking to him, and she was not like horrendous towards him.
Yeah.
But in this one, she called him a loser in the confessional.
Oh, right.
When we can just, I guess, talk more about like once he gets to the table, James says that he looked at Tom Sandoval's sunglasses for 1 second, and Tom Sandoval said, "Here, try them on," and like
Right.
did another gift giving thing to
Right.
him immediately.
Yeah, and Allie's like, it's giving Elton John.
Yeah. Do you think she was trying to be disparaging so that he wouldn't take him?
I guess, yeah, he didn't like that very much. And also, I thought they were too big for James.
Yeah, they're a little too big. And also, Allie says right to everyone at the table, he gave Rachel sunglasses too.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, she said that right to him. So at this point, I think Allie has is now fully against Sandoval in a way that I didn't think she was at the Lake Tahoe trip.
But meanwhile, James is like all on board. He goes, he always has given me gifts and I've never lost any of them. Like he said, like, I was like, he's being like so nice.
He goes, Tom Sandoval has always given me big brother gifts and I've never lost any of them. I think about them all the time. And then he gave Sandoval like a nice little handshake or whatever.
Yeah. Although James says on the after show that he immediately lost those sunglasses.
I know. I think someone stole them instantly, he said.
They were expensive. They were Celine sunglasses. That's probably like $500 a pair.
That is wild. So James is sort of cruising towards Sandoval a little bit more. And also Schwartz says, hey, this is one of my favorite moments. Another thing where I'm like, Schwartz, I've never heard Schwartz talk like this. He goes, I was in a YouTube rabbit hole the other night. I was in a full-blown Rat Pack mood, and I've been watching Frank Sinatra videos and Rat Pack videos. So can we please have a Rat Pack-esque night at a steakhouse, dressed to the nines, and eat some steak with the boys?
Right.
And James goes, hell yeah, we can have a Rat Pack night.
Yeah. I was hoping they were going to go somewhere fun and old timey, and the vibe wherever they ended up was quite bland.
I was going to say that to you as well. I didn't want to disparage that Brazilian steakhouse, but it had the absolute opposite energy of Rat Pack
Hotel
energy.
lobby energy.
It was sterile. It was
Bright.
Bright. It was a Brazilian steakhouse.
It
which
was empty.
It was empty. I guess they couldn't film at like Musso and Frank's or like
Smokehouse.
or whatever, so they had to like go to that one, but it was not giving Frank Sinatra.
No, and then it was like embarrassing that they were all dressed up because the vibe was so casual there.
Do you think that was just a full producer flop? Like whoever booked it for them was just like, sorry, I can't get like an old like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I guess so, because I feel like looking back, you know, we've watched them go out to eat at so many different places on the old show, and they would always go to vibey places before.
Right. I don't know what happened here. I mean, they could have even gone to like El Coyote and dressed like that, and it would have been better, looked cooler.
It was embarrassing.
You thought so? Full-blown embarrassing?
Yeah, it just sucked.
It did suck. The vibe was not right in there.
Like, I was like, okay, are you guys done with dinner at like 6 p.m.? Like, it just looked so boring and like sober and like...
Yeah, it was bad. And they also don't really talk a lot. Allie's astrology party is a lot more dynamic and fun than their boys' dinner.
Right. Well, I guess we can cruise right into that if we
let's
already
do
talked
it.
about Schwartz and Joe.
Yeah, let's do it.
So juxtaposed, there's an Allie girls' night and James guy night. They show us a clip of Allie. She reveals her dream was to be Taylor Swift, and they show her playing guitar at what appears to be like a talent show in 2012, which I'm like, fuck, she's so young.
I go, fuck. That was when I was working at that website that I told you about, and she's a
in
little
like
kid.
middle school.
Okay, wait. When Sheena arrives to Allie's astrology party, what did Sheena bring 2 gigantic boxes of? Allie goes, "Thank God she knows we're going to a Taylor Swift show really soon." What do they
really
mail?
Confusing. I watched it like 3 times because I kept thinking that I missed something, and I still don't understand.
Did Taylor Swift send like a bunch of merch that you could buy when you bought tickets, and you have to wear it all?
I don't know.
They did. Why didn't they explain? I thought it was 2 guitars because Allie was like, "I'm going to start my musical journey again."
It was really confusing. I don't know. I couldn't understand.
What about when Allie said, once I learned that there was only one Taylor Swift, I got into astrology. Do you think there was any world where she could have not been Taylor Swift, but still continued on her dream of being a performer?
Do you watch her videos where she sings and plays guitar?
Yes, and I thought they were really good. I think she's got a great voice.
Yeah. She should, I don't know. I mean, she gets the best of both worlds now.
Well, I actually heard a little exclusive.
Yeah.
Allie's going to have a full-blown singing journey later on this season.
Oh, really?
Where she's going to perform in front of everyone. Can I just say it?
Oh, wow. Where'd you hear that?
At the premiere.
Oh.
Someone whispered in my ear. Someone goes, "Life is lying." And also, Allie's gonna perform.
Someone in a cape ran off.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that this is setting the seeds or the stage for Allie to have a
more storyline.
Yeah, with the singing journey. But I also wanted to know what was the real story of why she like gave up. I guess it's just like things just.
It's a strug.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a perfect way for them to do a scene that Bravo loves to do, which is astrology, or any like fortune telling or anything like that.
But at least it's now someone that's in their
it's
group.
relevant, yeah. But yeah, she says whatever Ariana's lineup is like a 4-leaf clover,
right?
Which I mean, regarding her past year, it's giving 4-leaf clover for sure.
Yeah, and she says, I didn't feel, lucky before when my grandma died, when Charlotte died, when my relationship died, but I think Sandoval might have been stepping on that thing, and now that his foot is off, luck is coming.
Right.
And then Allie also says later, she's like, also, just so you know, Ariana, March 2024, you're going to be fully over this and thriving, and that's right now.
Yeah.
And Ariana's still thriving.
Was it on the after show? Or was it in the confessional? She said that Ariana said, everyone keeps saying that I made millions of dollars, which Sheena had just said on this episode. And she's like, she said that she was down to her last $2,000 as of March of last year, and that she was literally calling her management and stuff being like, I need to make money. I'm like, fucked.
She said March 1st when we saw her, which we didn't know she was broke as hell.
Yeah.
When we saw her, she said she had $2,000 to her name once the house had been paid off and once they started putting the down payment on the sandwich shop. She was down to her last $1,000. She was basically only able to rub $2,000 bills together.
Right. Which I'm kind of like, I mean, whatever. it all worked out, but I'm like, why did she invest in the sandwich shop at that time?
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. I guess maybe you think the season's money is going to come in, like she hadn't gotten that yet. But yeah, no, but it sounds like, Sheena, Ariana, it sounds like a lot of them were going through some major financial struggles during
Yeah.
the like pandemic era. So maybe
Yeah.
it's just that. And it was good to know for me. But
Yeah.
I will say, I do think Ariana has now made millions of dollars. This was
Yeah.
only 5 months after,
Right.
but now
Right.
for sure.
Yeah, but that is interesting that she needed to make that money to
Yeah.
get back to like ground zero.
Yeah, and,
you
and
know?
she's using it more to justify why she didn't leave. She's like, just because you destroyed my home, I'm not doing some financially irresponsible shit, going out into the world with no money or whatever. So again, she doesn't have to justify that to me, but she has to justify it again to Lala, I guess. She
Right.
keeps having to justify. I did like with the reading, one last reading was Sheena's. Allie kind of set it up weird where she goes, your moon is in the 7th and your sun is in the 12th, which, everybody has to die. Do you remember that part?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that was like a weird way to read Sheena's reading, that she might possibly die from, what you're reading on her birth
Right.
chart.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember each, like, because as you recall from the early days of our show, I did a reading with Allie, like
Yeah.
probably a year ago, or maybe a little later, like maybe
It was-
a little less than a year ago.
Yeah.
It was like pretty close to the beginning of our
One
podcast.
of her last like readings before she got too busy.
Yeah, and I got it was like cheap. Wasn't it like $50 or
I should
something,
have
or
done
like
it. I
$100?
don't- What the hell was I doing?
But each house like represents a different thing, and then your different parts of life are in a different, like love will be in a certain house, and like
Yeah.
money will be in a different one, so that affects whatever. So I was kind of following, but yeah. So Katie's reading was that she was like, I feel like I was a man in my past lives.
Yeah, she said this is this is her last life, and it's her first time being a woman. And she says whenever it seems like she has big dick energy, it's because she had a gigantic dick in the past.
Right.
I didn't understand Lala's, just to get really into it.
Yeah.
She goes, Lala, it explains everything about you. Pluto is in the first house. And then there's just no follow-up of what that means.
I left it blank. I wrote down Ariana 4-leaf clover. Sheena needs to put herself first. Lala blank. Katie, men in past lives.
Right. And then it sort of, gets into, after Ariana justifies why she wanted to be financially secure, before leaving her house, then it gets into the Sheena being torn, or friends being torn, because Ariana starts to say, why is James having Brazilian Rat Pack night
Yeah.
with the boys when I know he feels like that's a betrayal to himself and how he feels? Why would he do something like that? So she's questioning why James would like sacrifice his ethics to do this.
Right.
And then Lala goes and she's like, I don't know, I forget what she says, but Lala says something like, well, you know what? Mainly he's just scared if he will lose you as a friend.
Right. Yeah. Allie is like, I think it's a little bit of both. Like,
Right.
she's trying to mediate, like, that is true, but also, I think, he misses him as a friend or whatever. And Lala's like, time heals wounds. That's what happens. Like, she's trying to be like, we can't stay in this zone forever. And she's like, what will you do if James becomes friends with Tom? And she goes, I don't fuck with that.
Right.
Which is kind of a vague phrase.
Yeah, she's not saying specifically that she will like write him off forever. It means she doesn't like it, and I think she'll deal with it accordingly.
Right. That's the thing, is she keeps explaining her boundary, and it's still kind of confusing, I guess because it's hypothetical, but essentially she's saying like, I won't be as close with you if I know that you hang out with him also.
Yeah. And then Lala just starts to speak for Sheena, because Sheena is not saying one word. She's just letting Lala fully take the brunt of this thing that she's actually feeling. And she's like, well, it's apparent to Sheena from that statement that if she wants to have any resolution with Sandoval, you're not going to be her friend through this.
Right.
Fully speaking for Sheena. And Sheena's kind of just there silent, but like nodding that Lala's making good points, but she won't specifically say it.
Right. And then what is Lala say that Katie then sort of does an impression of? Like
Lala,
something like, you're not going to like.
yeah, Katie says, basically, Lala, it's bringing up the hypocrisy. It's like, you did this with Randall. That's why Tom Schwartz didn't know to not play pickleball with him. And she was like, so you're sort of like, if you're calling this into a question, we have to bring that up as evidence. And Lala says something like, I don't need to you don't need to apply this to a different situation. If we really went there and I said how I actually feel about these two scenarios, you wouldn't want to hear it. And that's when Katie says, ooh, like, we're so scared. And Lala hates when someone like writes her off like that. So she gets so pissed and she goes, don't make fun of me like that. Like, and all Lala is saying is that she thinks her situation is way worse than what Ariana went through. That's what she won't say up until a point. And Katie's like, just say it. Speak with your whole chest, bitch. and Katie gets really pissed.
Yeah. Yeah. And she goes, it was a bit much. And Lala goes, you're a bit fucking much all the time.
Now, is that true?
Well,
I didn't agree with that. She's not... Katie's not a bit much. I don't know. Okay. I didn't know if that was like a great comeback for Lala. It didn't make that much sense to me.
Okay.
I was on Katie's side for this because it's like, it's again goes to why Lala is saying these things. Lala, why? I know she's giving a lot of good rationale for why she says this, but you harbored so much hate for Randall way longer than Ariana is harboring hate for Tom Sandoval at this point.
Right.
So why? It's like, what's that called when you're just listening to the mouth of someone say, do as I do, but not as I say? Lala's just saying what she would do, but it's not applicable at all.
Like, is she just now trying to say, trust me, I've been through this, you'll regret it? Like,
maybe, I guess, but honestly, Lala's hatred and vitriol and drinking the poison, I don't sense the poison that she says Ariana's drinking. Ariana's pretty chill throughout this. When Ariana said, "I'm scared of how I acted this season, like I'm gonna be a little worried about how close I was to it or whatever," she's got her senses. Like, she's not doing a very bad job. It's whether or not she's like affecting the show based off her wanting to be removed from Sandoval. That's a different story. But I understand what she's saying here.
Yeah.
And I think it's well reasoned, and like, she doesn't even have to justify. She could be way worse. If she was like Lala scorched earth right now, like, it would be justified. We'd be justifying why she's screaming and upset.
Right.
So I think Katie, this to me was like, I like her rising to Ariana's defense against Lala, because I do think Lala doesn't have skin in the game. Like I said, she's just advocating for a position that she would never have wanted anybody to advocate for before. And I don't think it's just hindsight is 2020. I think she's just trying to be the bridge to Sandoval and trying to create a storyline because Sheena won't say it.
Right. Yeah, I feel like Katie is getting, her thing is like, Ariana's trying to stay mum generally, and so that things can't be used against her. She can't be accused of being too angry or whatever. And I feel like Katie's like, I'll fucking say it. Like, that's like on the after show, she says about Sheena, she goes, that's about people getting mad of the fan photo. She goes, that's the consequences of your actions. You keep acting like a buffoon.
Yeah.
And Ariana goes, Katie.
Yeah, not buffoon. No, it's true. Yeah. So
also, did you like that Ariana said she saw video footage of them all hanging out right around the time of the fan photo, and that they were all joking that winter is coming?
I remember seeing that because we were in the thick of it, like looking at all this stuff. And yeah, someone's story did have them like skipping and laughing and like kind of squealing in delight with Tom Sandoval. Oh, I want to say one thing I noticed when Lala says, when they're talking about Katie says, you just want everything bigger. You want everything to be, bigger than what we're all going through or whatever. And you're like, you just say it's way worse or whatever. And Lala goes, it was way worse. But I think that was ADR because you don't see Lala actually say it. And it did sound kind of out of place. So I don't know if like Lala wanted to say that and they added it in, but I do think it was ADR, her saying it was way worse.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I on Watch What Happens, a fan question asked Ariana if she thinks it's interesting or hypocrisy that Lala and Sheena like are telling her to get over it, or that like they, whatever, while they were the ones who profited greatly off of the Scandival and made merch and stuff like that. And she was like, wow, I never thought of it like that. I'm like, you didn't?
And she goes, but there is merit to that point.
Yeah, she was like, not no. And John Oliver was like, exactly, like
Yeah.
that's bullshit, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you really didn't like think about that?
I'm sure she did, but she just had a very measured, reaction. Like a
Because
good...
Tom definitely thought about it. He's
Oh,
pissed
he
about
thinks
the
about
merch.
it all the time. Yeah, so then this it's very heated. Lala makes a joke to get out of it. She goes, didn't you know that my Pluto's in my first house? They all laugh.
Yeah.
Except for Katie. Katie does not laugh. She's still pissed. And then Allie kind of says something which I actually kind of liked.
Yeah.
Even though I don't fully buy, like, that's the reason why they went to the house. But I did like that she was like, this is why we study astrology. It's to teach us all that we're different and we all have different reactions. And knowing how people react to different things in different scenarios is helpful. And I was like, way to put a bow on this episode. I thought that was kind of good.
She's like, we can all get along if we just understand everyone's birth chart.
Yeah, that was kind of sweet. I was like,
That's funny.
So, I mean, I don't know. Did you find more merit when we like dive into it? Like sometimes I do when we talk about episodes, or
Yeah. There's a lot going on. This was definitely certainly more fun to talk about than was it last week? The Tahoe? Well, besides our technical difficulties.
No, this was a little more fun for me personally. Just there's a lot of little stuff going on here that I liked to talk about.
Yeah.
But I do agree with what you said. I think it's like similar to what you said with when the Olivia Austin, Taylor stuff, where it's like, okay, we get it. Time for the next step.
Right.
What is next going to be talked about?
Which I guess is going to be the love triangle between Schwartz, Katie, and that girl.
Oh no, Tori's second try at being a cast member after not being able to be a babysitter.
I forgot about that. And then, we will get some Jacks, which is fun.
Yeah, next week.
Yeah. And then, there was that little clip in the coming preview of Sheena saying that she doesn't feel like she'll be with Brock forever.
Yeah, I have to assume that's taken out of context because there's no way she would say that.
Right.
I mean,
and then
maybe it was like, if you do this, like, if you do this,
Ultimatum.
we're never going to be, end up together.
And then there's multiple clips of Tom trying to talk to Ariana and her running away.
Yeah.
And then it appears that when they go on that boat in San Francisco, that, I don't know, it was giving the Cartagena boat.
Yeah, they're all scared and they're clutching each other. Yeah, it looked a little rocky weather.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, was there anything else from, Watch What Happens or the after show that was particularly interesting to you? I did like, Andy asked Ariana if she's gonna get that Lego portrait redone, and she said no, and he was like, I think it should be in the halls of Watch What Happens, and she's like, I share an ownership for it, but if it's up to me, you can have it.
Wow, Tom Sandoval's gonna want it so bad.
But I also feel like to get on Andy's good side, will want to gift it.
If he gets invited to Watch What Happens live,
he'll bring it.
He'll bring it, but it'll have like a new figure replacing Ariana. It'll be Schwartz. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he'll get a new one made.
Yeah,
out of pocket.
No, that was it, because we weaved in a lot of the commentary from all the extra stuff. So let's just. Do you mind if I take one more certified turtle piss, then we get into Summer House?
Yeah, let's do it.
Perfect. We're back.
Summer House.
Elephant on the beach.
That's right.
Do you want to just do let's just do high level on this one. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Just because the only thing is that I think if we go long, we'll break past our longest episode ever.
Right. It picks up right where it left off. Carl and Lindsay getting into it in the bedroom in the morning. And it's right before he takes off on his jog, and he on his way out, he sees Gabby. He thanks her for checking in. He explains what happens in the car and makes it sound what I believe to be true, like nothing really happened. He didn't really do anything.
Right. But he says that she said, you're attacking me, right? Like your tone is off or wrong.
I really wish there was footage of that just to put like a nail in the coffin that literally he didn't do anything wrong.
They might have to like switch up strategies now and always have
I know.
GoPros in the cars now.
I know. I'm like, didn't they at least have mic packs or something?
I just don't think that they thought, on their way out to a night out, which they don't really cover their nights out anymore. Like they let them sort of film them on their own. So I felt like they thought the car ride, nothing big is going to happen.
Right.
And we're also not filming them at the bar. But yeah, I mean, they missed a huge thing. But I think there's enough witnesses and evidence now. And I kind of do like that it's like,
Yeah.
we have to go based off our faith in Carl versus Lindsay of like what
Yeah.
actually
I
happened
haven't
here.
seen a single person online that doesn't believe that he's
No.
right.
Yeah.
And then so Lindsay immediately in the morning decides that Danielle is a safe space yet again to talk shit about Carl. She's like, yeah, like last night was crazy. Carl was cutting me off. His tone was going up. And she was saying that it was like reminded her of old Carl, more life Carl,
Yeah.
who was very dismissive and aggressive. And they showed sort of old clips of, Carl drinking Fireball and how, remember, they like initially tried to go on a date and it went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
And they were like, the producer says, did you ever think that Carl wasn't sober last night? And she said, no. And then she's like, I could have used more delicate words. But when she tries to explain herself, it completely flops. She doesn't get a thought across.
Yeah, so I think her defense is that she meant to say more life Carl / old Carl versus cocaine Carl, but she didn't say that.
No.
She said cocaine Carl, and also not only you didn't use the wrong words, you specifically accused him
Yeah.
of actually doing drugs. So this defense doesn't make any sense.
No.
She said, yeah, it wasn't a word choice. It's
No,
not
because the point of why she did it was to hurt his feelings and to just have a get out of jail free, like below the belt, like worst case scenario insult.
Yes, but she's saying the way he made her feel, which we don't believe, the way he made her feel made her remember the More Life era, and she got triggered or something and couldn't believe it. But that's not the accusation you make or what you say if that's
Right.
what you're trying to get across. It's a horrible accusation.
Right. Also, I'm like, I need to rewatch and everything. And I know that, especially that summer that Carl came back and was saying more life, he was definitely like off his rocker that season. But I'm like, they weren't dating at that time.
Well, yeah, I mean, also, I didn't think Carl's flashbacks were that bad. I mean,
No.
I've said this before. I don't really remember how awful Carl was, besides him being like someone who slept with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, he yelled at Jules, which was horrible, and
Yeah.
he cried. He felt bad.
Yeah.
And then he ran after Luke one time, but didn't even fight him, and he really got upset after that. But,
Right.
like, Carl's montage of bad moments is not that bad.
No, they freeze framed on him drinking
Yeah.
Fireball, which is something that happens every 10 seconds on that
That
show.
all of
everyone.
them have done. And I was like, yeah, so Carl's moments of him being more life Carl, it's like, I mean, he's a decent person. If they showed that on Vanderpump Rules, like James's montage of worst moments,
Yeah.
we'd be like, oh God, I get what she's saying. But Carl is like, I don't know, he's been pretty like even keeled despite his like
Right.
outbursts.
I know, and they kind of tried to play their date as if it was something that could be packaged
Yeah.
as bad Carl. But I remember watching that and being like, wow, you guys really shouldn't date. This
Yeah.
is not working.
Yeah, and also Carl is trying to tell Lindsay, he's like, I don't like just because I'm sober anymore, I don't need to be like lobotomized
Yeah.
with no emotion. Like I can still be reactive and get
Yeah.
upset and be strong in the things I think and shouldn't be accused of drinking, which is true.
Yes.
Her version of Carl that she wants is the hey babe robot that doesn't express
That
anything.
makes us all feel sick. And what we were ranting about last season, where we were like, something's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like it happens later, but I like when Amanda was like, "Can we just revel in the fact that Carl is with us all by himself out to dinner?" And she's like
Yes.
rubbing Carl's arm.
He's like making jokes and having so much fun.
Yeah.
So then Kyle pulls Carl aside and he's like, I love producer Kyle, who is just like a voice of reason.
And this was good friendship, Kyle, too. This was a
Yes.
very good friend talk, a very
Yeah.
needed friend talk, because Carl could probably be convinced by Lindsay with enough time that he was in the wrong there
know.
in some way.
It's scary.
It's scary.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he does end up sort of falling on the sword. We
A
learn.
little bit. Yeah.
But Kyle, I thought, like, I just love that Kyle was like, I'm in your corner here. This was very bad. And
He said, I feel like you needed a witness,
yeah,
which like it basically that's it's true. And that's sad.
yeah. And he says, like, I know how I deal with Lindsay. I either fall, she takes no accountability. So
Yeah.
she never takes accountability. So if I'm interacting with her, I either fall on the sword or I just say, I'm not dealing with you anymore, but you can't do that in your
Yeah.
relationship. And then Kyle says, I worry that this isn't an isolated incident and that this is like actually a recurring theme. How many times does she make you feel bad about something that you didn't even do?
Right.
Which,
And then he kind of starts to defend her.
Yeah.
Carl's like, I don't want to, make her feel bad about this or whatever. And Kyle goes, no, last night was unacceptable. And I was like, yeah.
yeah. And Carl stops excusing her behavior after
He's
that.
like, you're right, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And he just said, what happened last night, it scares him, but more than anything, it makes him sad. And yeah, Kyle's like, you can't have, he said, that's a long life of falling on the sword. Like, you can't let that be
Yep.
the way.
Yeah, and we can, there's a lot of fun beach moments.
Yep.
I'm not trying to, Summer House
Yeah.
was an amazing episode,
Sure.
but it doesn't all require a lot of parsing. There was just a lot of fun moments at the beach.
Fun on the beach. And then Danielle and Carl threw the ball around. And I liked that because I'm like, good, get a little bond going there. So she's not completely one-sided. They're talking about work. They love
Yeah.
talking about apps.
Yeah, and we find out another like aspect of the Lindsay Carl dynamic that we learn a little bit more about this episode is that Carl has been on a journey to find his next career.
Right.
He's post Loverboy, and she said that Carl has had a lot of different ideas of what he's wanted to do now, and he wanted to start a podcast.
Right. She's like, so we bought podcasting equipment and nothing came of that. And I'm like, well, you and every other Bravo person, I'm pretty sure every person on the Bravo payroll has bought podcasting equipment at some time.
Right. It's like, and then she's like, you want to be a motivational speaker, and she was like, well, okay, there's a few steps, we need to make.
She
that
basically
happen,
said, your life is still a shit show. Why would you be a motivational speaker? Is what she implied.
right, something like that. And then also that they hired a career coach for 6 months that cost $20,000
Yeah.
to see what Carl really wanted to do.
I mean, $20,000 divided by 6 months is still cheaper than their rent.
Wow, that's true. All right, yeah, that's true. But I guess for me, it was just, I like knowing that there's just more going on. It's not a defense of Lindsay, but I just like knowing like this is a constant thing that they're also
Right.
fighting about in their relationship.
Yeah, I just don't like. So she was sitting near Danielle on the beach, and then she's like, "Yeah, I bonded with Carl. We were talking about work or whatever." And Lindsay clearly, she sort of faux bites her tongue, like she's like, "Oh, okay," like, and then she pulls up a chair and is like, "I'm gonna go in,"
Right.
and talks shit on his like lack of work ethic. And this is where she explains that she's become an influencer and she's like bringing in the cash. And she says to Danielle, "I've never practiced more patience in my life."
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, so here we go. This is the next tour day, making Carl feel like a fucking loser.
Right.
That's her new initiative.
Yeah. No, it's I'm trying to think about how to talk about this. I mean, I like that, like, Lindsay obviously treated Carl, horribly. And like we were like last week or 2 weeks ago, we were like, okay, well, we totally understand why this relationship will end. But I do think that this is more reasonable in terms of like a struggling relationship. Like Lindsay obviously hits the 10 out of 10, like the most shocking thing you've ever seen. You're like instantly write this relationship off. It's horrible. But it's like, I don't know. This is more in the realm of like, I know it's like not good of Lindsay to like want him to like strive right now when he's still getting his bearings back during his sober journey. But it's more like, I don't know, within the realm of a thing that people fight about in relationships.
Yeah.
I wasn't fully out on this with Lindsay.
Yeah. But it's also ignoring the fact that they make 6 figures from being on this show. Like, it's like, let's not pretend that like him not having a
right.
sales job means that you guys are destitute
Oh,
and
yeah, I
that
didn't-
you have to carry the load.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, she's not taking into account the fact that he's just a Bravo celebrity who makes a lot of money just as a person.
Yeah.
And a lot of Bravo celebrities don't have any jobs outside. So
Yeah.
the striving thing is kind of, I was kind of just in the zone of the show of these.
Took it
and I
at
didn't
face value.
Yeah, I did actually. It's like, no, you're right. He is actively a Bravo celebrity. He probably makes just a lot of money. He's been on this show for 8 seasons. You're probably getting a very good episodic rate.
I did like that he says that he's gifted in sales and building relationships, because remember on like season 1 he was like a dental sales
Yeah, I always
guy.
felt so bad for him.
Yeah.
Because I felt so bad for him about the Loverboy stuff too.
I know.
Like Kyle is such a, loves work and stuff like that, but Carl, his heart wasn't in it. So Carl is still trying to find out like what his heart is into, and then that's why it's kind of crushing when at the in the final scene when he admits what
I'm also like the fact that Lindsay's trying to be like, I'm an influencer now, that's what I bring to the table. I'm like, again, like most Bravo personalities are influencers by nature of just being public figures. Like Carl could do that too.
And he is actually. While I was taking a certified turtle piss break, Carl's Instagram came up and he was advertising an organic juice that's good for mocktails. I'm like, that's an influencer.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, you do have to get organized with your representation to receive those deals and to decide what kind of things you want to do. But like, she's acting like she's some like brilliant businesswoman. And I'm like, every single Bravo person does that.
Yeah, you're right. I was taking this at face value. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. It's true. Carl has a good amount of income, probably more than so many people in life already.
Maybe not enough to justify a $13,000 rent. I don't know who on earth can justify that outside of like the mega wealthy, but
Yeah, but Lindsay says, I guess, maybe she's sort of equating these two things, but she just says, I'm so sexually attracted to people that are like striving and motivated. So maybe a part of it, it's just like when she sees Carl like at home, like working with podcast equipment, but not making a podcast, she's not as horny for him.
Sure. She also, because of the Summer House Challenge, I get confused about what week it is, but she was on Watch What Happens last week after this, and Andy, he's like obsessed with their paying that rent. Like he like is like, what the fuck? And she revealed that they signed a lease again the month before they broke up, which I'm like, dude, that sucks. I mean, is that how it is in New York? Because I just lived in my place for 10 years and I never signed a lease again after the first year.
No, and I've lived in my place for 4 years and they never made me sign again. So
I'm like, they have to sign annually? That sucks.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah,
I mean, you do get certain protections being in a lease, but also you're just trapped.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know how that works, but but he's
still paying.
Yeah, he's still paying what's $6,500 every week. Every month.
And she said that she also threw him under the bus and said that he demanded the engagement ring back. And I'm like, well, yeah, he probably had to fucking sell it to pay you $7,000 a month.
Yeah, for sure. There was another fun moment on the beach. I just like this West shining moment where where everyone has to take into like to let Wes know that he's doing the best job in the world out of all the other cast members that have ever been on the show. So Paige, like I've never seen Paige do this. It was just a random guy. She like sits him down on the beach and he goes, West, I can't tell you enough. You're really fitting in well with this group. You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
And she's like, I feel like we are friends for life now.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'd be so, disheartened if that wasn't the case.
I know.
And
she's like, yeah, and I feel like you have a good flirt going with Sierra. And he goes, does that feel right? He's like so courteous.
Yeah, he's being so sweet. And then he goes, I was even thinking about taking Sierra on a date. And Paige goes, she would love that. It's like, it's really nice. He's the opposite of Austin's energy to Sierra.
Yeah. I know, which is sad because she's not really that into it. I feel like he's getting friend zoned slowly but surely.
Sierra is? Sierra's friend zoning West?
That dinner did not go that great. It was cute, but it was like, it's giving Rod.
No. Oh my God, you were right about Rod and Olivia when I thought that was going so well. But she says she kissed him in the next episode.
It's true. I just think she's really keeping him at arm's length for whatever reason.
I thought she's keeping him at arm's length because she knows her love for him is going to be so powerful if she lets him in and she doesn't want to get burned like Austin again.
I don't think so.
You think that Austin chemistry, he was just blowing her mind way more than West? What
I
does
think
Austin
he's a dirtbag. That's why.
So
she knew that he's a heartbreaker and that she could never fully win him, so she wanted more. West is a nice guy, so she's like,
Oh my God, I didn't read that at all. I thought
We'll see.
West being so sweaty was really endearing, and when they were
I think she
ordering
likes
deviled
him
eggs.
a lot. I don't think she wants to date him, though.
Okay, I'm so bad at reading chemistry, as many little turtle cuties know. I thought that date went swimmingly. I was so proud of them, except for the fact that he was sweating his ass off. I was like, that sucks. 'Cause
I was jealous when they ordered those it was crispy jalapeno deviled eggs.
I know that looked really good, and I like that little sort of Hobbit hole vibe that they were in for that
know.
restaurant.
I know. He was wearing his little pepper steppers.
What are those?
He was wearing like little like pointy toed boots.
Oh, I didn't even see those. And she goes, "Thanks for letting your nipples breathe on this date with me." And he goes, "This is the third shirt I picked, and I knew you'd like it."
He's the best.
I love him so much, and it's just I love that they all can't stop talking about just how much they love West.
I know. It's like almost it's heartening as a person on Earth that we can still be surprised by someone new in such a positive way.
That's what it is. There's been just such bad luck casting on the show, and in all Bravo shows, it's really a flip of the coin, and this one just worked.
Yeah.
West came in doing a cannonball in the pool, and everyone just loves it. Like, they are just stunned by the new West energy in the house.
We were saying that if and when he goes to BravoCon this year, he's going to need a security detail because he's going to get swarmed.
You think so?
It's going to be like, remember in that back area by the Winter House photo booth where all the Bravo celebrities would come out, and all of a sudden you just hear,
Yes, of course I do. Of course I'll remember that forever. You think it's going to be like that?
Yes.
West Mania when he comes out?
Wow, wow, West.
Wow. I think so too. I think you're right. I can't wait to hopefully get a little glimpse of him at BravoCon
God,
this
I hope
year.
we find him.
Do you think has your energy started to rise up within your body to where you're sort of anticipating November again?
Yeah.
You are, really?
I'm down.
I mean, I'm not going to go to Vegas. I don't think.
I think it's going to be like $4,000 this year, though. I think it's going to be like outrageous.
Well, this is the year. I mean, 2024 goal for Turtle Time. We got to get that beautiful
pass.
Press pass. We have to.
my
Come
God.
on. Could you imagine? Okay. Well, besides, so Sierra and West, that's its own journey, which I really loved. Maybe we should take a minute to talk about Carl's apology to Lindsay and how you felt about that, and then we can talk about how Carl and Lindsay signed off this episode at the NA bar.
Yes.
Do you think that gets the crux of this episode,
I think
right? Okay, so what did you think when Carl, after you and I screamed from the mountaintops about what happened 2 weeks ago, about hashtag cocaine Carl, we were like, this is the end. Like, we were like, it's over. This is horrible. I was so stunned that Carl was like, hey, can I talk to you a minute?
Yeah.
I really, really want to talk to you. And Lindsay was kind of like,
every time they cut to her on the beach, she has stank face.
She was kind of like, I don't know if we need to talk. Like, I was like, Carl is asking you to talk. And then when she goes, okay, fine, babe, I'll go over there. And then
it's like a picnic setup. And he's like, this kind of reminds me when we got engaged on the beach.
Yeah. Did it remind you of that?
It looked the same. I mean, it was probably the same beach.
Yeah. And then he goes, babe, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you took what I said wrong or whatever. And if I got defensive or whatever, I should have taken into account your feelings more, right?
Yeah, he's like, I love you so much.
Oh, and that was also sad. He goes, I love you. And he goes, I love you so much. And he almost starts to cry from the power of his love. And I just think it's so sad that Lindsay let him, for 2 full minutes, apologize to her.
Yeah.
Also, after she had spread a false narrative to Danielle about what happened and was letting the lie go.
Yeah, wait, did we skip over that?
Well, no, you said it. You said You said she talked to Danielle in the kitchen, and she's letting her version of things be
Oh, right.
known to Danielle, saying he cut me off.
Oh, right.
He wasn't respecting my feelings. He was like more life Carl back then. So
Right.
she was actively creating a new false narrative in the house.
Right.
Then she lets him hang out on a limb and apologize to her.
Yeah.
And he has
While he says sorry and I love you so much, she still has stank face.
Yeah.
Like she's still just like unimpressed. And then she's like, you were being snappy and aggressive and rude. And he's like, your accusations hurt me. And like you were accusing me of not being sober while you weren't sober.
Yeah.
And this is where she says she has PTSD from old Carl.
And he says, Lindsay, I'm scared of old Carl too, but I have to have emotions.
Yeah.
Which is what we're saying.
Yeah.
He's allowed to yell if he gets mad at Lindsay when she yells at him all the time, or not yell, but get
Yeah.
upset. And it's not bringing him back to more life Carl.
Yeah. If anything, it's like he needs to express what he's going through so that he doesn't get all pent up and then blow one day and like go on a bender.
Totally. He's got to release that Carl steam out of his ears.
Yeah.
And then he says, come on, babe, you know, we're going to do good. Can we just have a wonderful, great weekend and start fresh? And she goes, yes, babe. And then they kiss. And he goes, ooh, a little tongue.
Ew. Which is so sick. And he also is like, let's have a good summer because who knows where we'll be next
Right.
summer,
Right.
Marriage, kids, whatever. Which I'm like, thank fucking God he pulled the.
Who knows where we'll be? I know where we'll be. Carl and Lindsay are going to bring new significant others to the house. Right?
That would be, I haven't gotten that far.
Okay.
But what I was thinking about was regarding Danielle is after when the dinners are split up, which I think was fun. It was Amanda, Carl, Danielle, Wes, and Sierra at dinner. And then at the house, it was Lindsay, Gabby, Kyle, Paige, and Jesse. And Lindsay and Paige have a conversation. Gabby sort of sets it up, which I respected.
Yeah, I liked it too. It was like Gabby was like, okay, well, Lindsay, you're doing so great now. You and Carl are good. You and Danielle are good. Hey, what about you and Paige? Have you guys talked?
Yeah. And Paige is kind of like, ugh, like, who cares? Like, I don't really give a shit about being friends with her. But they apparently haven't talked since the reunion. They show the clip of them fighting. And the main fight was that Paige accused Lindsay and Carl of planting a story about Craig being wasted at Kyle and Amanda's wedding, which I'd kind of forgotten about.
You talk about wanting footage sometimes. I want
yeah.
footage so bad of Craig Conover so drunk at a Bravo wedding.
Yeah.
Where everyone is probably drunk off their ass.
Yeah.
That he had to be escorted out of the house and kicked out. And it sounds like it's true.
Right. Well, that's the wedding where allegedly Lindsay and Austin ordered McDonald's and she tried to force him to let her give him a hand job.
Right.
That she vehemently denies.
What a wonderful, beautiful wedding. I wish they would have had the Kyle and Amanda's wedding after hours cut.
Yeah, they should have had cameras in every room. But anyways, this is the most exciting thing that I can't wait to see what happens from. Lindsay goes, you think I leaked that story? Because it was Danielle.
Right.
I'm like, I needed like soap opera music after that. Like, I was like, what?
Yeah. And it was after Lindsay had just said that she wants Danielle at her wedding and basically is saying, I want things to be better between us. Then she immediately throws her newfound friend that she used to love for 10 years under the bus completely with Paige.
Right. Which I'm like, I can't. So if Danielle finds out next week or in the season, that means that current day she's still defending her. The best case scenario would be that she never found out and that she just watched it live and then will get pissed in real time.
That would be the best scenario right now. Like if we went to Danielle's story tonight and it said, wow, fake friends, and it showed like a broken heart or something.
Yeah.
That would be wild.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that is kind of sad about knowing spoilers, just to know that she probably learned this. And then if now they're in a good place, that means that she like got over this.
Right.
A horrible thing.
Yeah. But I love that Lindsay just keeps giving us fodder again and again.
Yeah, I mean that's a villainous thing to do.
Yeah.
There's really no two ways about it. I mean, especially having that right after a scene where you tried to make amends with Danielle.
Yeah, I don't know what will make Danielle wake up, but
If she could survive what she went through, she obviously requires a 10 out of 10. On the conflict scale.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what they went through was like almost as bad as it gets with friends, but she must need something even more. But I now I don't believe that anything like that could ever happen. Danielle will forgive,
I know.
Lindsay for anything.
I know. And then we'll get to Carl and Lindsay. I just want to say that this is peak fun summer house. There's the fog machine
Yes.
and the speakers. The smoke detector goes off from the fog machine.
Yeah, I love that. I loved the little game they played, the name on the head game, where there were the other cast members, and Jesse says a funny joke, or he goes, "Am I a 9 out of 10 on the party level?" And everyone goes, "No." They go, "No, you're like a 2 out of 10." And Paige was like, "What?"
You need your hemoglobin checked.
And he goes, "I'm Amanda."
And everyone
Kyle-
like screams.
Kyle laughs. Yeah, and there's so much party energy.
Mhm.
It was so fun when Kyle and West fell asleep together and then
That
wake up
was
in the morning.
hilarious.
So you can't even like parse the party. Like we talk about these shows and we recap them, but you can't recap just how fun it is to just have the spirit of partying in each of these episodes.
Yeah.
So it was a perfect balance. Huge conflict or dramatic moments or whatever, those reveals, Lindsay outing Danielle as the Craig Conover leaker, but then also just pure fun
Yeah.
partying.
The fact that they fell asleep kind of snuggling and that they slept through the night into like 7:30 a.m. I thought was so funny.
I loved it too.
Okay, and then Lindsay meets Carl at this elixir bar in the city, which I guess is like a non-alcohol bar that he's discovered.
Yeah, and Carl is being very sweet about this bar. It's like it's touching him.
Right. Yeah, he's like, "Thanks for coming here, babe." And then he's like, "This woman is the owner. She's like recently exploring her own sobriety, and so she opened this place or whatever." And Lindsay from like the get
Yes.
seems judgmental and annoyed.
Also, she's like, I'll just have whatever, anything you think is good. Or it's like, wouldn't you have a better experience if you ordered something that you thought looked good? It's like
Yeah.
you're not even letting them
Engaging.
do what they do for you because
Yeah.
you're just like, I don't really give a shit about this. Just make me whatever.
It felt like she was out of control. Like it was his scene and he said, "Meet me here. I've
Yeah.
set this up." And she showed up like, "What the fuck is all this?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing here? What is this?"
Yeah. Also, his "thanks for coming, babe." I actually found that to be very sad because he had that sort of like cry voice, like very
Yeah.
endearing.
Lobotomized.
No, it actually had a lot of emotion. It was like, I think if you go back, he goes, "Thanks for coming here, babe." He had a lot of innocence in his voice, and like he was really so like he would almost cry because she was doing this nice thing by coming to this thing that he really cares about.
Yeah.
And then she fully pulls the rug out from under him by every step of the way, talking about basically what pieces of shit brick and mortar stores are.
Right. Yeah. They talk about his career. This is where he said that he's needed a break. He, is glad that he hasn't had to do a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 9 this whole time.
Which who wouldn't? I mean,
Right.
once you get a taste of that, not 9 to 5 life,
Right.
it's hard to go back.
For sure. Please join our Patreon. I can't do it. I can't go back. And this is where she says she's horny for drive and determination.
She goes, I would get so horny I would get so attracted to drive that I would be like, "Let's go in the bathroom." And Carl tries to give her a little bit of fun. He goes, "Would you want to go in the bathroom right now?" And she goes, "Not right now." And it's like she's telling him that she's not sexually attracted to him right now, that he doesn't have all of his ducks in a row.
Right. And she's like, "If shit really hits the fan, I can open my PR firm again and start operating or
Clubhouse
whatever."
PR?
Yeah, which I'm like, what was the real tea on how many clients she had and how much money she actually made during that time?
Does she do marketing? I would like to see Turtle Time get marketing advice from Hubhouse
Yeah.
PR and see if she's like going through the archives and
Yeah.
she's like, "Wait, they talk very disparagingly about me. What would she do for our like marketing
Yeah.
campaign?" Like,
She would change our cover art. We'd have to wear like cowboy hats and she'd tell me to like get my tits out.
oh my God. Well, yeah, she probably would give that advice. You don't think she'd like our cover art?
She'd be like, what's going on here?
I think you're right. Maybe a little too busy or something. But Carl goes, okay, well, I know you don't want to fuck me in the bathroom right now.
Yeah.
But the alarm bell will sound soon, and I'll know I need to get a job. And Lindsay goes, well, the alarm is already sounding for me, babe. So Lindsay is saying, which if this was another couple and someone said this, like if Amanda said this to Kyle or Kyle said this to Amanda, she's just letting him know she's at her wit's end with this journey of him trying to find a career, which I think that's more permissible. You know what I mean? It's more in the realm of, like I said, it's more in the realm of real. What I think is really awful of her is how quickly she dismisses what he says he wants to do. Right. Because he clearly thought about it a lot. He took her there. It was almost like what's it, like an investor meeting or whatever, a pitch.
Yeah. Like something like this. Yeah. It was like he built up the courage to mention it to her, which he was clearly scared about, and she reacted probably the way he thought, which was, he said he's been dreaming of opening a non-alcoholic sports bar.
Yeah, sober sports bar.
Which I understand her concern.
Yes.
But, you know, she immediately goes, she doesn't let him say anything beyond that, like, basic description.
No.
Nothing about what it would be, what his thoughts were. She doesn't even go like, okay, like
a place for AA meetings, and I would be the face of it, and I would talk about my sober journey just like this other person. Like, she doesn't even let him say it at all. She fully negates.
She just goes, no. She's like, as someone who's worked in, you know, every lounge, bar, restaurant for 20 years or whatever, she's like, I do not want that for my future family. Like, she takes it to like the most grave place immediately.
And the light.
And it's like, you can like talk to him about it at least. Like, I understand immediately being like, absolutely, like, fuck, like, no. Like, to me, yeah, it's like New York City. There probably 10,000 restaurants close every month. Like, it's rough out there.
They have a major leg up, though.
Like, that they're celebrities, but also a major leg down if you're not going to sell booze, which is like the only way you make money.
Right. Do you think that person that was behind the bar when he says, I want a bar just like this next door, she was kind of going, huh, what?
He's been like taking photos of like how it operates. He's like Slugworth.
Yeah, it's like I loved everything about it, but it's kind of like, I want to start one of these, maybe right next door. You know, to this one, it's like, okay.
Although
for
that one was giving like Cauldron,
yes.
and he wants like a bro
for sure.
bar,
and I'm sure he would even be like I would even like, I want this person to be a part of it. Maybe he didn't even get to that part. But
she
then
could be
Lindsay,
like the Penny of Something About Her.
Oh yeah, right, Chef Penny. Yeah, so it was sad. It was really deflating. Carl's, that's why I felt his thanks for coming here, babe, was really sad, because then the way she deflates this vulnerable statement, you can just see the light go from his eyes. He's so sad. It's like this issue alone, isolated, would be a big deal on the run up to being married. This is normal stuff, but it's a big deal that they're not in agreement about the future of them. And then you start to lump in all the horrible shit she's doing while she's drunk. And then it looks like next week they have another horrific fight where she accuses him of gaslighting.
Yeah, she says that he's being Sandoval.
Which is another, like, she goes to the worst thing you can say about someone to, like, really hurt them.
Which I think almost everyone on the internet agrees that she is the one that is like Sandoval.
Did the internet start to say that?
Yes.
We've talked about how they're the inverse Scandoval.
Yes.
You know, this whole thing that's going on with them.
Yeah, that was like, I know. So it's like we had every episode so far, there's been a red flag. So her blindsided thing is nothing could happen.
No.
There's not enough time between this, what is this, episode 4?
Yeah.
And the finale that could justify a blindside.
No. And we already said it was almost fully justified just with what she did with Cocaine Carl. So now the fact that there's even more fights we're seeing, I mean, if you're fighting almost every single weekend you're together about a wide range of shit, no, like, obviously Carl's going to have second thoughts. And it sounds like he still was going to give her the benefit of the doubt up until he had that conversation. And she's the one who just said, well, if it's not working, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah. She does on Watch What Happens Live, she gives a little bit of, she says that she was both blindsided and blind to what was going on. It was a bit of a,
Oh.
were you silent or were you silenced? She does say that she had blinders up because she wanted it to work.
Oh. So
Which I was like, okay.
Hashtag blinders,
Right.
not hashtag blindside.
Right. And she was saying that she thinks she was thinking more about having a relationship and like, she doesn't say checking a box, but essentially like making that work without thinking about how it was actually going.
Yes.
But she still talked major shit about him on Watch What Happens Live.
Yeah, she did. And his mom.
Yeah. She said that it was like, I think she said it was like classless for her mom to have gone to Mexico.
Yeah. It's a strong take to make fun of someone's mother. It's like, there's no coming back from that. Yeah, this was a great episode. I mean, we talked about it enough. It's like this had fun party energy, but also Carl and Lindsay. There's even more developments in the lead up to, the fall of Rad House, which I love that they're like the vibe is so strong. There's so much camaraderie, and Carl is not letting Lindsay take him away from the group dynamic like she did in season 7.
Mm-hmm.
Carl still wants a full piece and wants to be friends with everyone, and everyone is enjoying Carl's energy.
I know. That's why it was a stroke of brilliance for them to do the separate evenings.
Yes.
Because it like deepened that sense that everyone was like, yay, Carl's here. And then meanwhile on the other side, Lindsay's at home causing drama.
Yeah. Did you like that clip I sent you where Carl is talking about they're talking about being out with the boys, and Carl starts barking like a dog.
Oh, yeah.
And Lindsay goes, well, I absolutely hate everything about that, what Carl did. And
Is
Carl
that from next week?
Yeah. And
he barks like a dog as a joke, and she goes, I might be giving my ring back.
Yeah.
And Kyle goes, what?
Yeah, again, it's so sad because anytime Carl shows a sign of life, he was just being so fun. He's barking like a cliche of a bro.
Yeah.
To be funny, and it was so funny.
It was giving Tool time.
It was giving Tool time grunting. Tim Allen grunts.
Yeah.
And Lindsay makes him have to instantly feel embarrassed for it. And she already did that in episode 1. I remember when he was like, should we retire, babe? And she was like, not very funny. Like, it's like everything he tries to do outside
he has no freedom.
Yes. I mean, now with all those examples like lined up, I'm like, yeah, she doesn't like Carl to ever show a spark of his personality that's not just fully what she expects from him.
I bet she's the one that said they should sign the lease. She was like, let's lock it down another year. And then he was like, I hate you so much that I'm willing to break a $13,000 lease. Like most people would be like, fuck, I'll just get married because I don't want to pay $6,500 a month not living there.
Of course. I was trying to think of some other way that she could have got Carl to sign that.
It's like in like The Little Mermaid when Ursula like makes her sign that contract that like gets her voice taken.
Yeah, it was like that. What happens? What does Ursula do there?
I don't know. Some shit goes down where she steals her voice, and there's like a cool animation where the contract is signed with a quill, and I could see it in that high rise.
I can see that too. Well, I think Summer House is continuing to be the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. Did you see though? After she was on, I know we texted about it, but when Lindsay was on Watch What Happens Live, they did a funny, I put funny in quotes, bit where she at the bar makes a sandwich, like a tutorial video. And it was like a co-post collaboration between Watch What Happens and Lindsay. And it had like 800 comments. And it was, I've never seen such vitriol except for Sandoval, post Sandoval. It was like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments being like, she's disgusting, her behavior is foul. I saw one that just said vile. Someone said she was like a disgrace to her gender. Like really, like people are like emotional about this, like pissed.
Wow. It was so have we heard from any Hub House stands? Have they been just
real
like
quiet?
So they just say nothing? like
you'll see like because I read them all because I'm like, this is insane. I've never seen anything like it. Like such a backlash.
Yeah.
There will be some like here and there that are like, we shouldn't discount what she went through in the relationship. And then there are some that are completely blind, like looking stunning, like, you know, just like,
Oh yeah, like she looks
whatever.
good. Yeah, I mean, Lindsay, we already said it. She could have gotten out of this thing so easily if she just said, I fully apologized, said I was blackout drunk. I said the worst thing ever. I'll never say that again. But the fact that she did it in the morning and then technically didn't have to actually apologize to Carl. He had to come to her to apologize is very bad. I wanted to ask you just to like, as a final thought, do you think the cast of Summer House knew that there would be this reaction to Lindsay doing that once they heard what Lindsay did? Do you think that they had an idea?
Well, I don't know if I don't think anyone in the house knew how bad it looked.
Yeah.
Like even Danielle said when she was on Watch What Happens, she was like, I didn't know that had happened.
So only Gabby, Lindsay, and Carl really know, and then everyone else. But Kyle kind of heard, right?
Well,
'Cause
yeah,
you
he
said
was in the car.
Oh, right.
But I feel like the way it played out on camera, when you see every part of it, it's like worse than you could ever imagine.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, I'm like, every time she doubles down and doesn't apologize, and I see a preview for next week that she did something else that's bad, I'm like, it feels like in football. I'm going to explain football. I don't understand how it works, but like running with the ball and like you're like, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, like to a touchdown. Like I'm like, keep fucking going, keep being horrible. Let's go to a touchdown all the way to the breakup. Like, let's not have any moments where people feel sorry for you. Let's fucking go.
It is so true. It's a great analogy, and you're exactly right. Lindsay is running full force with the ball. No one is checking her. No one is stopping her. No one's trying to tackle her. Yeah. Carl is saying, maybe please stop running so fast, and she's just going for the goal line. You're right. It's it sounds like that's the case.
It like we're 4 episodes in, so like the summer isn't that long. Like,
no,
you know,
every weekend looks like a fight so far.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
so I'm like thrilled at the prospect. Not that I want Carl to be made to feel like shit. I knew that this is how she was. And so I don't want anything to happen that sullies this clarity that we all are getting right now.
There most likely won't be. But I get exactly what you're saying. It's like, let's keep it just like this. The heroes and villains, black and white.
Yeah. And even like if she posted about her hub house Airbnb this week, and even those comments are like people talking shit about that whole operation where I'm like, well, when she opened it, you guys were like, slay business queen.
Yeah, you all absolutely loved Hub House Ventures or whatever that property was called.
Jimmy has a conspiracy theory that that entire time pre this season that there were hub bots and that like the hub bots have been called off and now the real sentiment is bubbling up.
Why would the hub house bots be stifled when she needs them the most?
It's true. His conspiracy, which I'm not co-signing on, but I thought it was fun to think about, is that Bravo found out about the bots and put the kibosh.
Bravo said no more bots.
They said this is wrong.
Okay, there was a time, just to give Jimmy a little bit of credit, there was a time where I could not understand the love for Lindsay Hubbard and the hate for Paige Sorbo, which seems to me very clear who we rally around and who is more of a, what's that called? More of a,
villain?
Well, yeah, I mean, she's a villain, but you sort of have to add a little bit of like, yeah, I understand that, they're not the best all the time, but I still think generally they're a good person.
Yeah.
More divisive.
Right.
But it does make sense to me now that like some of that full-blown stand-up for her could have been generated, because it didn't make sense.
It was
to me.
overwhelming.
I don't understand standing Lindsay with no reservation.
Right.
That's what I don't understand.
Yeah. But that's the thing though. I've talked about this for the past year. There was a lot of shit that it just seemed so much that it felt like bots. But like I said, I'm in certain like chat rooms that, oh my god, I sound 400 years old, chat rooms, but like Reddit or like Facebook groups that like they're real people that post on a regular basis that are giving real thoughts that I follow, and they were all pro. So it's like that's real, and I do not understand it. But she fucked up so bad that they're all gone.
Yes. Yeah. So it's either, Bravo said no more bots, or she did something that's so unjustifiable that no one can be on her side. And even the Hub House stands are now faking that they've always been against her.
Yeah.
Because this was just too much. But I don't know. I don't get that what that was. And we were talking about it. It was like being in an alternate universe from the internet when we were talking about Summer House last year.
I know.
And seeing the takes that everyone had. And now it seems like everyone reoriented once Lindsay just did this one awful thing. Finally.
Because I feel like Paige is a great person to bet on. She is a good judge of character, and she's very clear in the way that she speaks. Like, she stands by what she says, and she's not afraid to say it to anyone's face. And so I'm not obsessed with Paige. Like, I don't like stan like 100%, but I think she's like an MVP.
Yes. Yeah. I love Paige. I mean, I don't stan anyone, but I love Paige, and it's almost to the point where I can't imagine someone who dislikes her. I mean, she's smart, she's fun, she's funny, she has an engaging relationship. She's got
she
good
bridges
friendship.
2 shows at this point.
It's like she's amazing.
Yeah.
Like I think personally, as a Bravo celebrity, I think she's great. And so it's like I felt like we were on an island alone, and then now it feels like we're on the right side of Summer House history.
We got picked up in a helicopter off of the what's that movie called?
Picked up
with
off-
Wilson.
Castaway.
We were cast away.
You and I were Turtle Time was basically Wilson, and you and I were talking alone on an isolated island, and we just got back to society, and they welcomed us with open arms.
Yeah, we're at that party. Remember, they throw him the welcome back party, and there's like that huge platter of like shrimp, and like there's like all you can eat, and he's like, would have been nice.
Yeah, he would have loved having shrimp when he was on that island. And then he can't sleep in a bed, so he has to go in a little corner and flick a little lighter because he can't go back to society.
That movie's great.
What do you think was he had that box the entire time that he never wanted to open, and it had that angel wing on it when he delivered it back for FedEx, because it's about FedEx getting a package to delivered no matter what the cost.
Yes.
What do you think was in it?
I mean, yeah.
Well, the theory is that it's more shrimp from that party.
Well, it was that beautiful artist woman. She was sort of a manic pixie dream girl.
Yes, she was. Well, Helen Hunt was the one that left him in the dust, right?
Yeah, she said, "You've been gone, bitch."
Yeah, she goes, "Sorry, I really had to move on, even though I loved you when you left, but we thought you were dead." But anyway, yeah, he goes to that manic pixie dream girl,
who makes metal art.
Yeah, very, very good. Vivid artistry. I was thinking, I guess people say that it could have been, medicine, or it could have been something that really helped him on the island. But
I'm not too concerned about that.
Me neither. Well, this was the 1-year anniversary of Turtle Time, right? This is the real 1 year, right?
Woohoo!
This is the real 1 year. I feel
that
like
was a high five if you couldn't see. Riley didn't slap my ass. Just kidding.
They just heard flesh slap flesh. No, this was the 1 year anniversary. I feel like we got to talk about the 2 things that we really love the most, plus a lot of other shit that we love the most too. Vanderpump, Summer House, the Oscars. Like, this had a little taste of everything, and I can't believe it's been 3 hours and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Can we just say the shit that we want the little turtle cuties to do if they love us?
Like, subscribe, review.
Yes.
I don't know what the like is for.
I don't know what the like is either. Maybe that's on Spotify. Like us for sure if you can. But the thing that helps us the most, words of affirmation are my love language. If you write Amy and I a good review, we read every single one, and we cry with tears of joy.
Yeah.
If you have a bad review, like Dorinda says, think it. What did she say? Think it.
It's say
forget it.
Forget it, write it, regret it.
Yeah, I have a feeling if you do a 1-star on Turtle Time, you might live to regret it. So take it easy on
like
that.
Like Tyler Perry says.
Does Tyler Perry say that? You might.
Remember, she sent Dorinda sends Luann a Tyler Perry quote about forgiveness.
Right, of course I do. And do they all question that it's from Tyler Perry?
They're all like, "What in the hell?" But also, my love language I've determined today is quality time, which you give to me by listening for many hours, which increases our engagement on both the podcast and YouTube platform. and earns us money.
It's so true. So just to use our love languages for a second, why don't you adhere to one of our love languages, whichever one it is, words of affirmation or quality time. But that means the most to us. So if you even had one hint of a smile or a little chuckle at this podcast, give us a review.
Yeah.
Or subscribe to Patreon. Either one is
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah. Patreon, season 4 of Vanderpump. We're on right now. It's a blast over there. And if you're craving that Jax and Kristen energy that they refuse to give us on Vanderpump Rules of today, we're revisiting the original shit right now.
Oh, yeah. We are in the thick of it. And Sheena, unfortunately, is learning something about Shay, and they are sort of on the ropes
yeah.
right now.
Sad.
Sad.
She did evoke him this week. She said
did.
that she put her blinders on and painted a pretty picture about her own marriage. Also, whenever we do this, I feel like we're PBS begging for money.
Yeah, I feel like that too. But I think if you give 3 hours, it's just nice for us to get, a little something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is this the longest episode ever?
I've been stalling and talking about Castaway because I knew I wanted to go past 3 hours and 4 minutes or whatever hell the record was. And this is it.
This is it?
Yeah. So Amy and I are going to officially shake hands and say, happy 1-year anniversary to Turtle Time. This is officially
Yes.
the longest episode.
Thanks for joining us for the past year. We love you.
We love you too. Now go to sleep. We love you so much. Goodbye.
Bye.
This one